तुम बंद कर दी यार, तुम ही तो बंद की है।
They've got the
तब
circle to
क्या
play
तुम
with.
पीछे
If
पड़
Ike
गया?
Soul somehow managed to
बंद कर
survive
दिया।
for long enough, Hero Extreme Godlike is already duking it out with other teams. So they are going to be taking that constant damage. But now Hero Extreme Godlike is ripping apart God's Reed. 2 knocks found and 2 confirmations instantly converted. But Ike Soul from the back lines as well can be a major problem. Hero Extreme Godlike just needs to make sure that they're not going to be third party. But here comes a well-placed nade from Ike Soul as Knuckles going to find that opener. 2 players struck down. Punk is now going to be the one to build that bridge between the teams. But can Punk hold him off on the other side? That's my question. Knuckle gets the confirmation onto Zap. And Aiku Soul, they strike down Punk too. This is the game that Aiku Soul desperately needed. And there's a big chance they can have it in their hands as well.
What a time to start getting awakened for Aiku Soul. Just when the hour was 9. Stepping up are these 2 land demons. You've got Manya, Knuckle, and suddenly Hero Extreme Godlike. They're starting to struggle. But look at God's Reign, still not out of the game yet. They've got Justin alive, but versatile. They've got numbers into Raiden and his power. They also are doing their bidding. Manya taking some heavy beating. Still not out of the game yet. How many meds does this man has as Justin opens things up and Jonathan down and out? At Minnow, he's taking some severe damage. He has to make a run inside the circle.
Oh no, Hero Extreme Godlike has been eliminated from the game by the play zone. But VXT was making too much noise. And now the players of Aiku Soul know exactly where VXT is positioned to. All they need to do is just keep a pinned eye on those 2 remaining players and wait for the game to play its momentum. Aiku Soul, they've got a bit of that cover to play with. VXT, they need to move out in the open, backs against the wall. Aiku Soul on paper got the advantage. Or maybe not. The zone is actually favoring the others. VXT, a little bit of that zone is favoring them. Aiku Soul, someone needs to go huge. Knuckle needs to find the first man. No matter what, he needs to be the Batman and save his own team.
2-on-2 situation. We did talk about the Batman coming to the rescue. It is not Arkham City. But surely it's the right opportunity. This has to be Aiku Soul's game, but versatile. Back-to-back good performances in the map of Erangel. You would want the right players. Of course, you've got S-Power and Raiden. 2 reliable players. But now, Knuckle, he's got a couple of utility to work things around as Manya. He's got some angle, but look at Knuckle. He's been dropped so down, so low. And now S-Power is going to make some good work of it. Of course, a lot of bad blood, and now Manya, he gets picked off. That leaves Knuckle with nothing but a dream and a broken hope, as Knuckle in a 1-on-2 situation has to throw that stun grenade, but it is 2 foes he's up against, and it is a little too much as Versatile get another one secured in their bags. Another chicken dinner in Erangel, and seems like Necro, they will be taking it away from Carnival Gaming. The first spot taken away.
What a game that was! Emotions were through the roof. Everyone had a big chance at winning. In the end, we had 2-on-2-on-2. 2 players from Hero Extreme Godlike, 2 players from Versatile, and 2 players from Aiku Soul. But you cannot forget that with this game, VXT, they've got themselves the first spot in the overall standings. The defending champions back at the place where they belong. But Aiku Soul, they have initiated what they wanted to. A comeback is on the way, boys. I mean, looking at the final few moments of that previous game, Brad Mino, especially the entirety of Hero Extreme Godlike, the fact that they had all the 4 players up on the board, but still they somehow messed things up. And I guess one of the major things, or the major thanks should be given to Aiku Soul. The utilities that were used from Knuckle, they were on point, striking down 2 players on the board itself, and Hero Extreme Godlike were not really able to recover from that major setback that they received. First, Zap fell down, then later on another player followed up, and that's where Hero Extreme Godlike, somewhere down line themselves knew that they can't really make a lot happen. But let's move on to the stage for a short interview with the victors.
एक और दिन और वो डोमिनेशन अभी भी कंटिन्यू हो रहा है VXT के इन बॉयज का। आई मीन ये टीम वर्सेटाइल है और डेफिनेटली सोमराज कांग्रेचुलेशंस, एक और चिकन डिनर। ऐसा लग रहा है कि एक स्टेटमेंट बन रही है एंड वो स्टेटमेंट ये है कि लास्ट टाइम की ट्रॉफी वाज नॉट एट ऑल अ फ्लूक, इस बार स्टार्टिंग से डोमिनेट किया जा रहा है। क्या माइंडसेट था फाइनल्स में आने से पहले टीम का और आपका?
फाइनल्स में आने से पहले ऐसा कुछ खास माइंडसेट नहीं था। हम लोग इसके पहले वाले स्टेजेस में अपने राइवल टीम को बाहर करने का ही बस एक था टारगेट। बाकी यहाँ पे आके हम लोग का यही था कि एंजॉय करना है, और नया टीम है तो जैसे हम लोग नेचुरली खेल रहे वैसे ही खेलना है।
आई डोंट नो व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द न्यू टीम, जो नया टीम की आप बात कर रहे हैं, स्पावर आप एक एडिशन बने इस टीम में। आपको हमने ऑनेस्टली बहुत टीम्स में देखा है नो डाउट, बट यहाँ पर ऐसा लग रहा है कि स्पावर वो आउटशाइन कर रहा है। अभी अभी डबल डिजिट्स भी आपके थ्रू देखने को मिले जो आपने फिनिश पॉइंट्स उठाए थे। नाउ कमिंग टू द मोमेंटम, 50% ऑफ द गेम्स आर डन। नेक्स्ट 50% गेम्स में हमें क्या कुछ डिफरेंट टीम में और आप में एज एन इंडिविजुअल दिखाई देने वाला है?
मेरा हमेशा से एक ही आंसर रहता है कि मतलब जस्ट गो विद द फ्लो। इसमें भी मतलब ऐसा कुछ इंडिविजुअली या फिर एज अ टीम कुछ अलग ट्राई नहीं करना है, बेसिक्स पे स्टिक करना है और फ्लो वाइज एज अ टीम खेलना है, टीम वर्क अच्छा रखना है। बाकी फ्लो वाइज जैसा होता है, अगर फेवर में चीज़ रहे तो अच्छी बात है, और अगर नहीं रहे तो भी थोड़ा बहुत जितना कर सकते हो उतना करने की ट्राई करेंगे। बाकी वो ये फ्लो।
एक्वा सी, आपके कंट्रोल्स और हर चीज़ तो हर किसी को पता है, मैं उसके ऊपर वापस से क्वेश्चन तो लेकर के नहीं आऊँगा, बट आई एम प्रीटी श्योर आई हैव सीन ज़ैपेक्स इज देयर दी कोच, राइट? जब भी गेम, इनफैक्ट पहला गेम जब रीहोस्ट हुआ था, ज़ैपेक्स यहाँ पर आकर के टीम को कुछ चीज़ें बता रहे थे, चीज़ें यू नो चेंज करवा रहे थे। हिम एज अ कोच, हाउ डिफरेंट ही इज फ्रॉम दी अदर्स कोच?
बैकबोन है हमारी टीम का, एंड बहुत सपोर्ट करता है, एंड कोई भी टाइम है बैड टाइम आए तो भी सपोर्ट करता है वो, तो वन ऑफ द बेस्ट कोच इंडिया का।
आपने लास्ट टाइम, बस एक आखिरी सवाल है सोमराज, लास्ट टाइम जब आप ट्रॉफी जीते थे वो लास्ट मैच के बाद देवर लाइक स्टेटमेंट्स गिवन कि बाकी टीम्स हु कर रही थी, हम लोगों ने आकर के जीत लिया। इस बार राइट नाउ विद 50% गेम्स डन एंड आप लोग टॉप पर ऑलमोस्ट पहुंच चुके हो, इज देयर समथिंग दैट सोमराज वांट्स टू से और डज ही वांट टू से साइलेंट राइट नाउ?
भाई आप सारे सवाल मेरे से ही पूछ रहे हो, वहाँ पे मेरा एक टीममेट बैठा है रेडन, उससे भी सवाल जवाब कर लो।
उनके पास आएंगे पर कैप्टन तो पहले बोले।
अभी खुश होके कुछ ऐसा फ़ायदा तो नहीं है ना, कुछ स्टेटमेंट दे के भी। अभी हाफ जो भी गेम्स बाकी है तो उसमें कुछ भी हो सकता है, एंड तक हमारा फाइट करने का इरादा रहेगा बस।
रेडन, इज सोमराज लाइक दिस ओनली व्हेन इट कम्स डाउन टू आउटसाइड द गेम?
अच्छा है, बहुत अच्छा है।
लगता तो नहीं है बिल्कुल।
नहीं है, ऐसा ही अच्छा है।
नहीं, डेफिनेटली इनकी परफॉर्मेंस काफी ज्यादा अच्छे तरीके से जा रही है। 3 chicken dinners is what they have right now, many more to come, but for now back to the casters.
Seems like VXT, they are breaking all the records, be it the highest finishes in a single match by S-Power or the highest winner chicken dinner. But what do you think, Neeraj, VXT did different other than Godlike and Aiku Soul?
I mean, for VXT, the way they played in general was just the way they were playing the entire LAN finals. I don't think so they did anything different. VXT, that's how they like to play. Once again, the fact that now they've got even more firepower. They're just relying much more on the firepower too. Especially in the final few moments, you clearly saw that the zone was also favoring the players of VXT, and that's where Aiku Soul had a major disadvantage because they needed to leave that cover and move inside the circle.
But one team was definitely eyeing for the center, and we also have the MVP from them. That is going to be Medal Legend with 6 finishes and 75% finish contribution. And Fixes, Medal and CG, that was such an important fight for Carnival Gaming. What do you think happened wrong in that particular fight?
They were unprepared. I think the moment one of their players got taken down, that is when we noticed that the revivals could not come on time. And this is where things went tumbling down for them. And legit, he made the right moves at the right time. But you know, I want to touch upon the conversation around Versatile. Look, they were getting fire down from everywhere. But somewhere down the line, Necro, you would even agree, Godlike and Aiku Soul made their lives easier because it was God's Rain not giving them an inch of space to enter inside the circle, and suddenly Godlike and Aiku Soul collected go after God's Rain, and that is where Versatile sneaked through and somehow managed to conjure that chicken dinner.
Yeah, that's the crazy part, right? Well, Godlike was constantly taking shots against the players of God's Rain, and unfortunately for God's Rain, they were also dropping down in numbers. And then later on, Aiku Soul stepped up, and they were getting the knockouts against the players of Hero Extreme Godlike. So it's quite unfortunate, and luckily enough for VXT, it worked out pretty well, because all the other teams were busy duking it out against each other.
Exactly.
And VXT took the opportunity, entered inside of the circle, found themselves a decent bridge to play with, and that's how they got the chicken dinner. In general, for VXT, as I mentioned, they're also relying a lot on that firepower. They know they can put the defense up, especially with a man like S-Power, Aquinox, Raiden, and that's what they're exactly doing.
And VXT knows perfectly when to be the courageous one and when to be the silent ones. They chose to be silent ones. Hero Extreme Godlike, they were picking fights on the multiple front. After that, the wall of death also closed in towards them. But Carnival Gaming, the initial aggression which they are bringing in might be not favoring them because they were the table toppers. But not anymore. They need to stop bringing that early aggression if they have to. I think Fixes, you'll agree, they have to be the cautious one in that particular fight.
See, honestly speaking, this is where Carnival Gaming, they were pushed over by the players of Medley Sports. This is where they have to be prepared every single minute of the game. They will have to be on their toes because one little miss, like what happened in Erangel, and their flow completely breaks. And here on, next map is going to be Sanoff. And let me remind you, Necro, they have a drop clash against Bgmi Sports.
Oh, that's going to be even more fun, my friend. And you cannot forget about another drop clash, right? Iku Soul, K9 Esports, Revenant Spark, one third party that. So that's even more fun.
What more fun was in that game was Wingod Esports. They were complete menace. They were creating so many problems for so many teams. They literally rained on the parade of so many teams, Neeraj.
Exactly. They were just going for third parties after third parties. And luckily enough, they were getting those points as well, right? They were able to collect a few scrappy points from every single fight. I would just love to see the points table and see how many points exactly they were able to acquire. I'm pretty sure they will have a lot of elimination points.
They were running rampant. I think this is where that realization
They've realized,
hits.
yeah.
You know, no matter what we're doing, things aren't going our way. Let's just play our hearts out. Let's go all out. And they suffered. They gave some serious strikes, man. Versatile, they had all 4 of their players alive. They did not even have a single finish to their name. And suddenly Wingod decided to push head first. They lost 2 out of the players. Versatile still survived and still somehow managing to get that win. You know, that takes some special efforts. But let's not take anything away from Iku Soul also. Now, we had almost ruled them out. Yes, this game, I'm just waiting to see how many points have they secured. If it's beyond 15, then we can say Iku Soul still has a chance. 14, I think we can live with that.
Of course, 14 points are more than enough in one particular game, but the consistency needs to follow up in the upcoming games. Hero Extreme got like 14 points to them, also Medal Esports. Finally, a good game coming in on day number 2. 10 points to their name, but God's Reign, every single time, Neeraj, we say, give this to the circle, he'll give you the chicken dinner. But seems like that's not the case on the map of Erangel.
It was just unlucky, let's be honest. Destro did not really have that good of a position with the boys, right? They were quite exposed, and constantly you saw the players of Hero Extreme Godlike targeting them over and over again, and then Hero Extreme Godlike were getting taken down from the back lines. But for God's Reign, unfortunately, they were not really able to find that good of a position. In general, if you look at the map, yes, they were looking good. But if you talk about the cover to play with, they barely had any sort of cover to play with, and that's why they got taken down in the end. But let's be honest, right? VXT, yes, they got the chicken dinner, but they were not really able to secure a lot of points, so that means they're still going to be in contention. They do not have a lot of difference.
I think for Versatile right now, the work has been cut out. We know they've got what it takes to get another chicken dinner in Sanhok. They've done this in the past, but you know, this is the curse of the grand finals. One good game, the next game you mess up, and that hasn't been lifted yet.
Fixes. What if we see a Camp Alpha Circle? And you know what happens when we see a Camp Alpha Circle. Iku Soul, they've got a 90% win rate on that zone. If we see a Camp Alpha Circle, Iku Soul will probably get the chicken dinner, and that will be another initiation that we're looking for. But right now we've got the overall standings.
Well, in the overall ranking, we have God's Reign right at the top with 81 points.
Wow.
Carnival Gaming, they have been dropped down to the second spot with 78 points. The consistency which God's Reign is bringing in is helping them a lot. But Gujarat Tigers, they have been given 7 compensation points in match number 7, because of which now they are on the 7th spot with 53 points. But Fixes, I think you'll agree, Gujarat Tigers, they are struggling on day number 2.
Absolutely they are. Absolutely they are. It's not even a question, right?
I mean, for Gujarat Tiger, let's be honest, you have those connectivity issues. 7 points, I think, is still a nice remuneration of what happened. But look at this. Iku Soul, slowly but surely, they're starting to sneak in through. Just barely touching that 40 points marker. One more good game, and they could break in if they get a chicken dinner. But it's going to be so difficult. But right now, I feel like K9, they have been horrendous. Especially the last 2 games, they have not been getting enough points. They have been taken down. So the next game has to be the most important game for Iku Soul. Not only they have to win against K9, they have to also survive Revenant X Spark.
Well, they have to, but you also need to thank our sponsors, DHL. Level up your career with DHL. But you were talking about Iku Soul. I also want to talk about K9, which you touched upon. That K9, they were the first one to get chicken dinner on day number 1. But Now they are not even in the top 5. The aggression, they're just focusing on the aggression and ignoring the placement points now.
Well, honestly speaking, K9 Esports were just falling short because of the trap that was set out by the players of Revenant Spark, right? Camping that garage just the way CG did against the players of EXT. And now this time it was K9 Esports who fell prey to that same strategy, because usually teams try to go to that garage to get their hands on a suitable vehicle. And as soon as K9 Esports closed down up towards that warehouse, they instantly got struck down. So I would say it's quite unfortunate. Now the fact that they know that there is a possibility of this happening, K9 Esports will be much more visible now.
I think if you're making it to the top 5, you need to be very cautious. You need to be up on your toes. You have to be prepared for every sort of scenario. But along with that, even Reckoning Fixers, they have been on the struggling side. Day number 1, or we can say maybe they were testing the waters. They were just trying to get those average points. But the struggle is still continuing on day number 2.
It's always been a story for Reckoning inside of those lands, right? This is where the onus falls on Gravity. Again, he's struggling so much in making those right calls, because when you look at Reckoning in the recent league stages, there had been a whole different story. But right now, before the game begins, we'll be queuing in for a short break. You don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
मम्मी बता के जाया करो यार प्लीज। भाई मामा का वो फेसबुक तो चेक कर लेते। हाँ फेसबुक पे डाले थे, फिर व्हाट्सएप पे डाले थे, बस। चेकआउट मत करना, चेकआउट मत करना। ओए बक, ओए ओए मत करना, फिर रोएंगी बैठ के। हम ब्यूटी मौसी से कभी नहीं मिले यार मम्मी। ब्यूटी मौसी से हम मिले नहीं यार, हम मिले नहीं।
बार बार उनका नाम लेके मत परेशान करो।
Dragon Elite Gaming and DHL.
Welcome back, folks. Rocks. You guys are watching Snapdragon Pro Series Challenge Finals day number 2. With 50% of the games already over and only 50% games remain, it is becoming more and more. Joining me on the panel is going to be Scared Yet and Neeraj this time. Neeraj, I know you don't like giving predictions, but it is the map of Senok. What are you expecting now?
I mentioned this as well before the entire pregame segment even started, that if the zone is going to be towards Camp Alpha, there's a big chance Ikusol will be the one to steal it away. And even speaking of the win rate, right, it's pretty much 90% win rate. So we pretty much know that if it is going to be a Camp Alpha circle, Ikusol will have a major chance to make the comeback happen. And so far, they've also got the momentum.
That is if Ikusol survive the onslaught of K9, because we know that Ikusol and K9, they constantly have that beef over there.
But if they avoid the fight,
that is if they were the fight. But yeah, we'll have to witness that, because I'm excited for the Sanok Shadow.
We all are. And looking at the schedule, we have got Senna coming up, like you guys said. After that, we have got Weekendy, and after that, one last Wrangle. And after that, day number 2 will be over. So these 3 games are going to be super important for all the bottom teams, especially for Ikusol. If they don't perform in the map of Senok, I think the chances of them making it to top 5 are going to be very less. Since Neeraj mentioned already that momentum is rolling already in the favor of the players of Ikusol, especially Nakul. Nakul was so phenomenal scared in the previous one.
He indeed did a phenomenal job. I hope all the people out there predicted as well, right? Because the Snapdragon match prediction are live, so you might want to type down who have you got winning. But at the same time, you've got this dance cam out there, so if it's on you, that means you'll also have to go for that dance. You've got to show that move. I really hope it pops onto you, Necro, so that we can see you dancing.
No, absolutely not. I'm not going to show any sort of moves, and I hope that never pops on our entire broadcast, because the fact that if that thing actually happens on our panel, it would be a complete disaster. I know.
Necro, you're not understanding the trick. Basically, he wants to show his own moves. That's why he wants the camera to pan towards
wants to show
him.
off. All right, I see. But I hope it never pops up, so he never gets the chance to show his own moves.
Why are you so smart?
You can do that on social media, but coming back to the audience, I think the audience is pretty much pumped up, and we have got few good moves also, Neeraj.
They're having a great time, man. I mean, look at them just going wild. One thing is for sure, man. Every single person that's currently over here in this arena, they're enjoying their time. They're having the time of their life, and the man in the back lines is just going for the push-ups. What is he doing? I'm loving this. I'm loving the way they're enjoying their own time. This is what we like to see. This is what puts smiles.
All the way back to what's happening in these games, because eventually we were doubting Ikusol, we were doubting Godlike, but they've been moving back and doing good.
Well, they are certainly doing good, but let us know your experience. Scan the QR code and fill in the survey form. I hope you guys are already enjoying the show, because the audience is definitely enjoying it much more. But the upcoming map of Senok is going to be so important. It's a fast-paced map. We have been witnessing some slow-paced Wrangles and Miramar. I hope this Senok is going to be very fast-paced.
I hope to see a few more drop clashes, right? Bot Army Sports in the interview, they mentioned this, that
Well, certainly the audience was pretty much pumped up, and some few supporters of Shadow OG are there. Are there my supporters?
No, absolutely not. They're supporting Revenant Spark, and Revenant Spark is one of those teams that has won back-to-back officials, and they're also looking forward to name this trophy on their own name. But with the way they've been playing so far, I don't think so that's going to be possible, my friend. They need to step up right now by margin, just like Ikusol.
Yeah, Ikusol did step up, so, you know, that kind of reignites the hopes of maybe seeing Revenant Spark as well. I agree. Maybe we're going to see Revenant X Park as well moving on to the same train, the same line. At least we are slowly and steadily seeing them in those last few circles rather than getting eliminated so early on. So again, that's one team, but you know, there's another team that I personally feel might not make it up to the podium now, and I think that the struggles are really high for Bot Army Esports.
Of course.
Well, the struggles are definitely there, and Neeraj also pointed out they have a drop clash happening on the map of Senok. Let's hope they have a different drop city, or maybe they are prepared to take that 4v4 fight. But we also have to talk about yesterday's Senok. Yesterday, Gujarat Tigers did get a chicken dinner for themselves, and now they are in the top 10. If they really get one more chicken dinner, if not chicken dinner, at least a high fracking game in Senok, they can easily be in the top 5.
There's way too many teams on the struggling side of the thing, right? There's so many teams also being super inconsistent. So hopefully, yeah, they're able to perform. Hopefully, they're able to get the average if you are somewhere in the top 8. If you're somewhere at the bottom half of the board, though, you need a major game in your hands. Haiku Soul needs a chicken dinner. You mentioned a few more names like Revenant X Park. They need a chicken dinner. Bot Army Esports, in my opinion, they've still got a big chance. If they pull off a 25-pointer right now, there's a big chance even Bot Army Esports can still pull off a...
Yes, the Bot Army Esports, they have done in the past also. When they were on the struggling side, they did manage to pull off that hat trick. Bot Army is one of those teams which never give up. But the main thing is, can they handle the pressure of the audience lands? But we have also got the team card of Hero Extreme Godlike, where Jonathan with 14 finishes, Edmino still on the struggling side with just 3 finishes.
Exactly. I mean, look for Edmino. Yeah, it's been a tough tournament so far, right? Not exactly tournament. Maybe you can't say the LAN finals. Edmino's not really able to pop out the same way he did in the past couple of LAN finals, but it's completely fine, right? Hero Extreme Godlike, they're still in that contention to be at the podium or maybe even be the champion of the tournament. All they need is also a big game. Too many teams at this point need a chicken dinner, man.
Well, I agree. There's a lot of teams who need the chicken dinner, but specifically talking about the team that picked the chicken yesterday on the map of Sanok is definitely Gujarat Tigers, who've been struggling so much for the previous 2 games. But I personally feel that if, in case in this game they get a strong footing, they might recreate everything that had happened yesterday. But there's another side of the same coin, right? You know, the momentum is not in your favor for the last few games, so it's pretty difficult for you to bring yourself back from that break.
Indeed, it is pretty difficult, right? I mean, for a lot of teams at this point, you can say, yeah, the hopes are lost. You guys pointed out Bot Army Esports, considering they're currently sitting at the bottom. And honestly speaking, yeah, I've been mentioning a lot about the interview where they mentioned that, yes, they're not going to be giving their drop location away, but in the previous game, they gave their drop spot away to God's Reign. They backed away from military base and instead dropped completely somewhere else on the map on the northern side.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you ask me, I'm not a big fan of that. That just showcases the low confidence that the team's running with.
But I think that's a mature decision. If the drop clash is not working in your favor, why not go for the secondary drop? And they tried experimenting.
The thing is that drop clash never came into fruition in the first place.
Yeah.
Yes, they were clashing.
Here's the thing, you know, I've been constantly talking about the fact that, yes, we want to see the Bot Army, God's Reign, drop clash happening over there. Even though they went into their secondary drop location, I'd have to say the circle kind of favored them, at least in the first or maybe the second game. But even after that, Bot Army not being able to convert those fights has been the major problem. We are seeing this team always move in those last few circles, but they're just not able to win those crucial fights when we've got those 12, 11 teams, and that's when you need to win those, because after that, you'll be entering into the places where you'll get those position points too.
But the previous game was a little bit overshadowed. Also, considering that Red Ross were not really able to perform that well. We were speaking about Red Ross from yesterday, saying that how good they've been playing so far. Yes, they're still in contention, in a decent spot in the overall standings, but the previous game was not that great.
But Wrangle also, they got 13 points. So I think one bad game is not going to hamper your performance that much if you pull off a chicken dinner after the next one. If they perform really good in the map of Senok or Weekendy and then Wrangle, I think Red Ross is good to go because they're still in the contention for the trophy. And they're doing great.
That's the main problem, right? Red Ross so far haven't really achieved a big game so far. They've just been relying on the consistent point flare that they're getting. The average point flare is actually keeping them in the race as well, in a really good spot. But here's the problem. If you
Well, we have talked about lot of teams, lot of struggles who are on the bottom half of the leaderboard. We also have talked about the table toppers. But the main thing is who is going to dominate on the map of Senok. Because these are the two off maps. Even the best of the best teams sometimes struggle on these off maps.
We are going to the rainforests. And you know what? Who really prevails in the forests are the apes. There's a big chance even the OG can't perform really well because it's been a while since we've been spoken about Orangutan, right? It's been a while they've been getting overshadowed by a lot of the other teams, and even OG now, they need to step up. This is going to be the right moment, the right time to step up. OG still in contention. They've got a big chance. Can this map of Sanok be it?
Maybe, but OG has not been really feeling that momentum. They have been on the struggling side on day number 2. They were being consistent ones on day 1, but now the map of Senok, the big flight, big blue bird is up on our screens very soon. This map is going to be so important for the players of Aiku Soul. I'm just waiting for the drop clash, which Neeraj was talking about. If that happens, I don't know how they're going to handle the players of K9 Esports because an early exit is going to hamper both Aiku Soul and K9. For now, we have got the flight path, which is on the towards eastern side.
Indeed. I mean, again, this is a map of Sanok, so people would be able to jump to their drop locations regardless of what the flight path is. And right now, we are seeing almost the same thing. K9 going at the same place. The question is, will Aiku Soul go there or will they decide not to? Because as of now, yeah, they're going to go at the exact same place. But here's the thing. K9, they are the ones who are actually going in for a very big split. Shadow, look at where Slug is right now. Dropping on the outskirts of boot camp between Paradise and boot camp. Omega has gone all the way up north towards the east of Hathin. And the east was basically dropped south of Omega. It just seems that K9 have decided not to take that fight, but there's another contest that's happening on the other end. And guess what? Reckoning Esports answering to the members of Bot Army Esports. Again, the game begins with this team losing a member. It seems... Yeah, it's just a big problem, but here's one thing. Necro talked about the fact that rainforests are the area of the apes, and the apes are the ones who are prevailing against the gods of wind.
Well, this Sanok is going to be pretty chaotic and fast-paced. Sanok Wind God, like you said, are already engaging against the players of Orangutan, where LeBron has been knocked out. They have to go for the revival. They have to go for the rescue mission. Even Bot Army Esports, they lost onto one of their members. But Aru is so far away from his teammates. His entire team is towards the side of Kampong, and Aru is towards the side of Bhan. What is he doing so far when his teammates need his support? As Sahil gets a knock onto AKOP.
Yeah, that's a big one coming in, but the shots being fired from his 6 as well is the big problem, as it's Versatile's Raiden who jumps into the mix as a lifeline for Orangutan and the Apes. He'll be able to get one finish, and Apes will get their revival back on. That's a big one, or a big blessing in disguise right now, but the question is, can they survive out of this? Just one shack and it's not that pretty. If anything, it's the worst one out there. And to add on top of the injury, the salt is that there is no heals available for AK. Not a helmet, not a vest. And if I'm not wrong, is that a sniper that he's carrying as his secondary?
VXT.
You know, everything that could go wrong for AKOP is actually going wrong.
The major thing that can go wrong for AKOP and the entire team of Orangutan is the presence of Versatile. They have got 2 chicken dinners, Versatile, and they're running high on confidence. At this point, I don't see any reason for Versatile to not go for this fight. Orangutan, they might try to back off from this one because, like you said, they don't have enough resources. They don't have enough loot in their hands. So, OG, this is going to be an important game for them. They have been missing the entire day. A team which could have been the contender for the trophy is really messing up on such an important day, day number 2. But we also got the plus of Team Revenant X Park, where Joker is all the way towards the side of the bridge, all by himself.
Talking about Revenant X-Park itself, right, there's some massive problems out there, but the problem are right now for Devotee. Seems like there's no Lord who's saving him. Maybe Scary George could be that one, as Beast constantly fires in a few shots, but on the left side is where Henry is, and Henry saves his team at least for now. Devotee was confirmed. Scary still alive, very disconnected from his teammate right now. Scary will be able to get that finish onto Beast, so A good answer back coming in. K9 Esports. They themselves are in a pretty spread out position, so that's not the perfect one out there. But Bgmi Esports still on that struggling phase, Shadow. Still facing those difficulties, but hold on a second. Maybe they can be multiplied exponentially. Slug out there sees the player and he knows that it's going in towards his own team as Henry barely survives with the nick of an HP. But guess what? They're already in the clutches of the members of K9 Esports.
Oh, they certainly are. They certainly are. K9, they have been dropped down to 9th spot. This is going to be an important fight. Bgmi Esports, who are already on the struggling side, on the 16th spot with just 25 points. Beast has already been eliminated. Ninja Boy, he needs to step up really big time because Slug is carrying the entire team on his shoulders. Ninja Boy, he needs to step up. On the other side of the map, we also have got Godlike and Metal also locking horns with each other as Simp finally stepping in and finds a confirmation onto one of the player of Metal, and Prince has also been eliminated, but Legends Nade gets a knock onto Simp, but also Henry decides to go aggressive against the players of Team K9 Esports. But the Nade Parade from the side of K9 can mark an end for Henry. Henry is also answering back with that grenade and a pump of DBS right in the face of Ninja Boy takes him down. Bgmi Esports still on the verge of winning this particular fight, but Scary Jot has been knocked out and Henry in a 1v2 situation will finally bite the dust. And K9 Esports, they get those finish points. They get those crucial finish points, and Bgmi Esports, they have been eliminated from the lobby. We also have Godlike Esports and Middle. Kind of a stalemate situation where Jonathan decides to go aggressive against Legend with the S12 game. Legend bites the dust. Jonathan seems like this man is not stopping for anyone at any cost. Sir, with the last man standing in a 1v4 situation against Hero Extreme Godlike, finds a knock onto Edwino. Can he fight the second one? That's the main question. And the answer could be no, because he's on the sliver of HP and Jonathan is already marching towards him.
Yeah, he's still marching on right now. He wants blood for his teammates. Finish out there, Savit. He'll link up, and guess what? Moves in the clutches of Johnny, and the nod says it all. The confidence is immaculate on this team, and look at what's been done right now, Shadow. Simp enters the roster, immediately goes in for a couple of finishes for his team, and his team has, again, got a long way to go right now. Only 60 points, and the lead can eventually increase even further for the top 3 out there. But we still remember the coach mentioning that all he wants is his team to be in the top 5 today, and then they can move to the first place. If things go the way how they are going right now, we might possibly see Godlike not just being in the top 5, but rather in the top 3 or maybe the top 2.
Could be possible, could be possible. And we all were talking about this. Why Zap, why not Simp? And finally Simp is coming into the map of Senok and is already performing. Out of 4, 2 finishes. In fact, 2 initial frags were created by Simp. That was a great opening. Yes, Edwino has been lost, 1 casualty, but 4 finishes, a good start. Especially when you have the center control also. I think Hero Extreme Godlike is looking promising. But we also have got few teams who are going for the late rotation, like Aiku Soul towards the side of Camp Alpha, then VXT towards the side of Dogs, then even the players of Team Just Jelly are also taking their sweet time to move inside the circle. Gujarat Tigers, they need to be the cautious ones, kid.
You know, last time I remember Gujarat Tigers were the team who immediately went towards those edges of the main island, and then were able to quickly stop Remnant X-Park from moving in. But hold on a second. Right now, they're the ones who are stopping the members of Godlike making any kind of move. Gujarat Tigers, the Bootcamp Kings. No Ash in the lobby, so no team to contest them in that area. So they can have their free reign over on the other side. But another team that have basically got a clutcher up their neck right now cannot move out in the open, as Wild Fangs have been eliminating Wind God Esports out there. The bottom 2 teams of the lobby removed so early on yet again. Bgmi with just 1. Wind God absolutely 0. Wild Fang finally catching a couple of points out in the open. We'll be having a look at what happened previously. It was again Simp. Oh my goodness, those shots were absolutely nasty.
Of course, Jonathan has been running a high on confidence since yesterday. The way he clutched against the players of Team Iku Soul and after that against God's Rain. This is what we were looking for. This sort of performance is needed from this particular guy, and he is delivering this. Now he has got the support from Simp as well. So I think Hero Extreme Godlike is looking promising to be in the top 2 like you said. But for now we also have the players of Orangutan in the close proximity to them. But Revenant X Spark seems like the spark is completely missing from this team. The struggle which they were having in challenge season is still continuing. Joker, Sarang, Shadow, Spray God, except for that one clutch which Shadow pulled off, we haven't seen anything promising from the side of Revenant X Spark at all.
43 points only till now. That's again the big sign of concern. Though a lot of people are still the believers that Revenant X Spark can eventually make that comeback. Because everyone have witnessed that epic miracle. No one anticipated it, but yet they pulled themselves up. Since we're on the track of pulling themselves up, even just Jelly, you know, people have been questioning Jelly specifically for his IGLing. Guess what? This man goes out, brings in a few people, and boom. He's sitting on the biggest LAN stage of 2025. And it's not like the team is not performing. They are actually performing pretty decent. 54 points. And they're, guess what, around almost 30 points away from the first spot. Yeah, they can bounce back any time. Just one good game and a few more consistent ones. Hopefully Gravity can keep the gravity on his vehicle normal. Because if he falls in this case, Destro is just going to confirm that finish as quickly as an eagle strikes its prey.
But the thing is, God's Rain, they don't have enough throwables in their hands at this point. And the strength of God's Rain has always been that nade parade, which they always do in the final circle, that rewards them with the chicken dinner as well. But for now, they are in the city of Paradise Resort, which has been their home ground since a very long time. But the next circle shift is going to determine so many things, how the rotations are going to come in. If it goes south, I think Jelly are placed perfectly. And seems like we do have a southern shift where Carnival Gaming and Team Just Jelly, they are going to find themselves in a really good spot. But one team who really do good on the map of Senok are the players of EXT.
Who are slowly and steadily moving in from the southern spots, specifically of the area around Quarry. They'll be having Wild Fangs to welcome them. Maybe just a bit left towards that Carnival Gaming as well. We talked about the team Wild Fang right now. Yes, as you said, oh no, the reaction says it all. Sends it down on his knees and there's no one close to him who can actually get the revival in. But there are quite a few teams who are around the same vicinity. Carnival Gaming, Wild Fang, Just Jelly, and even Versatile you mentioned about this team is slowly and steadily moving up. Sensei, Trace God is spawned out, tracing the path to revival of the IGL office team. Creating that smoke wall is the name of the game as of now. But you've always got to be wary about the apes. They've got a heightened sense. They're pretty precarious whenever it comes down to the maps of Sandhawk, the jungle.
Just look at the rotation of Aiko Soul Scared.
Oh my. Now I'm just looking at what Race God is doing on the screen.
He is exactly doing what he was doing in the challenge season, carrying the entire team. But we also have got Gujarat Tigers locking horns with against the players of Carnival Gaming. Carnival Gaming once again in an early fight, in an early commotion. They need to be very careful. Gujarat Tigers, the kings of the boot camp, still have that entire control of the boot camp. Where Red Draws, they're keeping themselves on the outskirts of boot camp. Carnival Gaming is also eyeing for that control. Just Jelly, they can definitely do a third party just in case if Gujarat Tigers decide to pick a fight against the players of Carnival Gaming. Even Aiko Soul, who is coming from the southern side of the ruins, can also chime in. That could be a great possibility for Aiko Soul to accumulate those finish points.
So many teams moving all the way from down south is a big problem. But my question is, how are Aiko Soul looking to traverse through those water bodies? Those rivers are going to be their main foe. Carnival Gaming as of yet do not have the members, so they can't really gatekeep the members of Aiko Soul right now because they themselves have to watch their 6 and they're all the way out in the open, so that is a big problem. But at the same time, there's another cluster forming a bit more towards the north of Boot Camp, and that's where Revenant Spark are going up against the members of K9. K9 yet again with a loss of one member are at a disadvantage, but in terms of confidence, this team has been doing super solid. And guess what? They're constantly getting in those finishes as well, so the rankings, they keep on going up and down. But as of now, Sarang's crosshair is not going anywhere.
He's just trying to stop Omega, who is trying to go for the rescue mission onto Slug. But finally he strikes and Omega survives that spray which was coming from the side of Sarang. And Slug will be back on his feet. Now Revenant X-Pac Sarang needs to be a bit cautious because the circle has gone away from him.
Oh my
The circle
God.
has taken a southern shift and it is favoring the players of Team Aiku, Soul, Carnival Gaming, Just Jelly. Even these three teams can also fight against each other and aim for that southern control. VXC can also go for that control because the southern side of the map does have a lot of terrain to go for that control. Wildfangs are also eyeing for that particular southern side control. We also have God's Reign, Reckoning, Hero Extreme, Godlike. I don't know how they're going to traverse inside the circle because Orangutan, Gujarat Tigers and Red Ross, they have got the entire northern control.
You've got to find the timing in this case. You have to wait for the other teams to take fight and then go in for the third party, maybe even the fourth party, depending on the amount of cluster there is around you. That's going to be a big thing. Again, the Apes now slowly and steadily walking back in, banging onto the doors of Gujarat Tigers. It's going to be Orangutans up against the Tigers. Who's going to win in this one is going to be the big thing, as both of them love to hop around the area of Boot Camp. Specifically Wiz and AK. In the previous lineup, they always dropped onto this area. So they themselves are very well versed with what their surroundings are looking like. And in the meantime, Clutch God, so pretty ready. Sending one man a bit far away to spread out in a 1-2-1 spread, while the Apes, they're all moving together. Just one nade gets in, maybe no one, but hold on a second, hold on to that thought. Carnival Gaming right now, they're answering back. So Gujarat Tigers in a bit of a trouble right now over towards the south as well, is where Versatile are against the members of Wild Fang. And Sensei is the first one to go down. Fights happening everywhere across the board as God's Reign lock horns against Revenant X-Pac 2. Everything going south for some of the big names out there. And Wildfangs are the first one onto the receiving end of the spectrum. Sensei confirmed as well. But hold on, Seth finds a flank, but no. Could not get that knock.
But K9 Ninja Boy does get a knock onto Viper. Even Dionysus has been traded out. Hero Extreme Godlike also doing a third party on the plus of K9. Seth needs to hold his grounds as K9 is trying to move inside the circle. Hero Extreme Godlike strikes in, strikes hard. And K9, they have been eliminated. The misery, the struggle of K9 is continuing, and they have taken a downfall in the overall ranking. Everyone is just eyeing for the control of the circle. VXT, they have the southern control. Hero Extreme Godlike coming from the eastern side. They need to be a bit cautious from the players of Wildfangs who are out in the open. Jonathan, Simp, Punk, 7 finishes already accumulated, looking so strong. But just look at the players of Carnival Gaming right in the center of the circle.
The confidence is just absolutely immaculate. Holy smokes! The shift is just nasty, but for now Seth needs to switch up from his own position. Shots being fired from behind him. Somra just above the rock as well. Jonathan is out there. Jonathan wants to get that one knock, and he will be able to, as again the 3xM4 connects. And it's 5 finishes for the man in his own hand as Power broke his record. But guess what? It seems like he's now the only man standing, and he's the only one who can probably get something done for Godlike. The losing members, they've got 8 finishes in their pocket, but how many more can they get is the big question.
The last man from the side of Hero Extreme Godlike is Jonathan, and the last man from the side of Wildfangs is Scout OP remaining. And both of them have to move inside the circle, but seems like Scout has been eliminated by the play zone with the last first aid remaining. But now Jonathan has to make a mad dash inside the circle, but the entire team, the entirety of VXT can stop him in his tracks.
Aru has been knocked down right now, so that's a big problem for Orangutan as well, as again the fights happen everywhere across the board. Revenant X Park take their own exit too. They could not take the entry into the circle whatsoever. Now Atanki out there in the blue, HP being dropped in, such a low one. He's got to pop in the first raid. There's no other opportunity for him to move in. Reckoning being eliminated too, and now Jonathan slowly makes his move. He's got one first aid remaining, but he's got the entirety of Versatile in front of him. This team has been the kryptonite of the men in yellow in front of them, but can he do it again? Nothing for him to heal himself back up. Maybe a few bandages, but that's about it. He sees Atanki out in the open. He wants the confirmation, and he will get it as well. But does he have anything more? Has he got more gas in tank remaining? He's got Raiden behind him. The ex-member of WSB, the current member of Versatile, has been immaculate in these situations. But can the king of clutches clutch this one out too? He sees Zverev and he takes the shot. He gets him down. Wizjaw's confirmation goes to Armin. Gujarat Tigers. They're still out there. They're still alive. And Viper's Nate steals that one finish away. It's only Arman remaining for Gujarat Tigers, who's all the way down in that one compound. This one man is wreaking havoc. But guess what? He's got another man who's been the MVP of every other event. Stands tall, but not for long, as he's been taken down. And Ronnie is the name of the guy who finishes him off. Aiku Soul find themselves in the best position in this circle.
They have the position, but finally they are striking onto the plus of Team Red Ross as Ronnie gets a confirmation point. He also has the information onto Phoenix, but Ortho with that vehicle is trying to distract the plus of Team Aikusol as Knuckle finds a knock onto Phoenix, gets the confirmation, and even Ortho has been eliminated by Ronnie. Aikusol getting those crucial 6 finishes and a good position inside the circle now.
That's a phenomenal position. I 100% agree, but guess what? There's also Just Jelly down south of them and Versatile on top of them. Carnival Gaming can definitely play in as a spoiler, but Manya has got the high angle and has got Raiden locked up in his own crosshairs, so he can eventually find a few more connections. And if Raiden falls, that's going to be it for him. There's no chance of revival. Goblin now is making a move. He can cause big problems for Versatile out right now. And guess what? Even Just Jelly are doing the exact same thing. Kiolamau finished off Raiden, and that is what I was mentioning, Shadow. These two teams who are on the sides of Versatile can help out Aikusol into getting this chicken dinner, and that too unintentionally.
It can go either ways. The players of Team Just Jelly have to move inside the circle. Even Carnival Gaming has to do the same thing. VXT, they have got the control, they have got the higher ground. But like you said, they need to be careful from the side of Carnival Gaming, especially Goblin. But for now, seems like Aikusol, even they are also unaware about Goblin's position. S-Power, along with Equinox, is just holding on to his ground. But finally, that nade parade, Aikusol Some is trying to do towards Goblin. Even Goblin is also answering back with his nade. Close connection, but no knock coming out of it. Nades being exchanged. Aikusol versus Carnival Gaming. Aikusol, they have the numbers advantage, but there could be a situation of third party coming in.
Yeah, Just Jelly right now want to go in directly onto the members of Versatile, and his power has got no power. He's been finished off, picked apart, and now it's all down to Somraj. This man is known to be a hero in these clutch situations. I still remember the amount of times he's shown himself. His last stand is big. Can he do it again is the question. Can he ruin the day for Aikusol, who are looking prime to get this chicken dinner in their pocket? Kyo Lamau, though, has been taken down. That's a big three-pointer from Ronnie, and the man steps up big time. It's again a 1v2, v4. Aikusol looking in the prime position, and they are taking all the finishes across the board. And guess what? They steal this one away. When all eyes doubted them, the believers believed. And the souls are still alive. They are in this race, and with this one, if anything, they can maybe move in the top 5.
Well, Neeraj said if the circle is of a Camp Alpha, Aikusol is taking this one. But seems like doesn't matter which circle it is, on the map of Senok, Aikusol, they get the winner chicken dinner when it mattered the most. Especially Knuckle, Ronnie, entire team, even Manya getting the first track onto the plus of VXT was so important and so critical. Just Jelly, even they also charged onto the plus of Team VXT, and that is where Aikusol chimed in and accumulated those crucial finish points.
Much needed one for Aiku Seoul. No second thoughts about it. This had to be their game, and we were talking about all the adversities that they had to deal with, and finally seems like some semblance of hope still remains for Aiku Seoul. Still far from that first spot, but now they are starting to inch in closer. Even their arch nemesis, if you talk about Hero Extreme Godlike, they made that change. They got in Simp, and we could see some instant impact by that one lad. But when you talk about that final blow there, I think for Aiku Seoul, it was all set up. Whilst the others were fighting it out, they were the ones getting the better of things.
But we also have got an interview lined up, so let's directly head over to that interview on the stage because we all want to hear from the players.
फाइनली वो मोमेंट आ गया जिसका सबको इंतजार था. आईकू सोल जो कि बहुत नीचे थी, फाइनली फर्स्ट चिकन डिनर फॉर आईकू सोल. मान्या, सबसे पहले बहुत बहुत कंग्रेचुलेशंस ब्रो. 9 मैचेस के बाद पहला चिकन डिनर मिला है. उन पहले 9 मैचेस में क्या गलती थी जो यहाँ सुधारी? अच्छा तो लग रहा होगा अब.
बस थोड़ा मोमेंटम नहीं मिल रहा था. आई थिंक सेकंड मैच से हमें मोमेंटम मिला तो उस टाइम से हम कंसिस्टेंट खेल रहे हैं.
आपने अपनी स्ट्रैटेजीज और माइंडसेट में कितना चेंज किया है ताकि अब आने वाले मैचेस और अच्छे जाएं? क्योंकि अब टीम को एक मोटिवेशन मिला होगा आफ्टर फर्स्ट विन. इतना नीचे देखने की सोल को आदत नहीं थी फैंस को.
तो जब हम नीचे थे तो आई थिंक हमारे पास कुछ लूज करने को था नहीं, सब कुछ पाने को होता था, तो हम ऑल इन खेल रहे हैं.
ओके, वेल टॉकिंग अबाउट द नेक्स्ट मैप वीकेंडी, वो आपका एवरेज जाता है और वो बहुत सर्कल ओरिएंटेड भी रहता है. उसमें कैसे अप्रोच करोगे?
आई थिंक वीकेंडी में हमारा स्ट्रैटेजी अभी स्ट्रॉन्ग ही है, हमारा अच्छा ही जाएगा, बाकी सिचुएशन के ऊपर है.
ओके, वन लास्ट क्वेश्चन, व्हाट इज योर गोल नाउ? आप किस चीज़ पे टारगेट करोगे? टॉप 5, टॉप 3 और स्टिल फॉर द ट्रॉफी?
अभी मतलब मैंने पॉइंट्स टेबल देखा नहीं है डिफरेंस क्या है, बट अभी लास्ट 2 मैच पे फोकस है. उसमें अगर पॉइंट आए तो कल देखेंगे क्या करना है. अभी पॉइंट निकालने पे फोकस है.
चलिए, आईकू सोल को उनका पहला चिकन डिनर मिल चुका है. बैक टू यू बॉयज.
Well, it's just the first chicken dinner which they have got, and this could be the stepping stone for the upcoming 2 games. Like Yamane also said, Fixes, they're just focusing on collecting those crucial points. And if they get those 2 points, then they're going to plan for the strategy on day number 3. Can we see any sort of targeting from the side of Aiku Seoul tomorrow?
Right now, I think they've got bigger issues at hand, to be honest. But you talk about MVP, this man has always been synonymous. Jonathan stepping up once again when the team requires him the most. 6 finishes, 67% of finish contribution. This is what the fans have wanted, and godlike Jonathan has constantly been delivering throughout the grand finals.
Especially in the fight which happened against the players of Metal Esports, Kiat. I think Simp was so fantastic in that one. He was the one creating those opening frags.
It's coming down all the way to the same thing, right? The same confidence. Zap, unfortunately, was not able to show up as in the same way as Simp was. And it comes down to, again, the gelling up with the team itself. Simp has been working in as, again, one of the big entry fraggers. So he's been doing a very good job for their side, and that kind of relieves the pressure onto the shoulders of Jonathan as well as Admino. And that's why we also saw Jonathan popping off like that. 6 finishes for the man. But My entire eyes are going in for the man. Ronnie with 5 finishes and as the finisher of the previous game.
Well, he certainly was. He was the one to land the final blow, but Fix's Jonathan was in a rampage. He will completely refuse to die because he was the last man standing, and still he was going for those finishes against the Plus of Gujarat Titans.
And he has no other option because for Hero Extreme Godlike and their journey so far in this event, they came in as hot favorites, and even in the first few games, they were found missing. At this point, they had to go all out or nothing. I think that is the mantra that is enabling Jonathan. Given the fact that he's got one of the most experience out of all the players inside that clan arena, I think this is where you are supposed to do what the GOAT needs to. And this is something that he has to deliver every single game. If Hero Extreme Godlike, now look at this, they've already gotten past the top 4. This is where they should be targeting to somehow squeeze into the top 3, which will give them clear ambitions to aim for the trophy tomorrow.
I agree, because that was the entire idea as well. Hop in the top 5 today and then aim for the trophy tomorrow. But I feel that it's not just about top 5, right? Because they did that already. I think so they're eyeing out for more today. I think so they will probably breach into the top 2 if this kind of performance continues in the next few games. But at the same time, I kind of wanted to talk about Gujarat Tigers themselves, because the first few circles kept on forming onto them. They had a perfect opportunity to set themselves up for the success, but even after that, they eventually succumbed to all the teams that surrounded them.
That tends to happen when you have the circle in your home ground. You don't have a lot of information because you are not traversing around the map. You lack that information, and that is exactly what happened against the Plus of Gujarat Tigers. But K9 Esports also fixes. This time they didn't go towards the side of Camp Alpha. Instead, we saw some unorthodox split also coming in from the side of K9, where Slug was somewhere else, 2 players towards the side of Cow. The 4th player was somewhere else on the map.
I think for K9, they've realized that their way of going all out has clearly backfired, because today they have not garnered enough points. They were around the top 3, top 4 position. They are now far from it. Now, this is where in Sanok, certain teams tend to go on that defensive approach. They go on for those healing battles and need to secure at least those 6 to 7 points. Now, once the match rankings come in front of us, we'll have a more vivid picture of what has happened. So far, the headline stolen by Aiku Soul, getting a massive chicken dinner, 21 points, will certainly help them out. And even Josh Shelley, they have been working under the radar, but these 10 points are so crucial. But when you look at Versatile and Carnival Gaming, 10 and 8 points, I'm going to take it. These are the much needed average points they needed to secure. And same goes with Hero Extreme Godlike as well.
Well, certainly 9 finishes. They do lack on the placement points, but I think finish points have covered it up for the players of Hero Extreme Godlike. But Gujarat Tigers just having those 4 finishes, while Fangs, their struggle is still continuing. Even Reckoning, they were looking so promising in challenge season, but seems like the land pressure is really getting on the nerves of the players of Reckoning. They're not even able to get those average points every day.
We were mentioning about the Wolves, right? In some of the games, we see them striking to the other ones, but it always has been the situation. I was also hearing what the other desk had to say, right? And they were mentioning about the exact same thing. That Reckoning, they are there. We sometimes see them on the finish board, but they move out of the game as quickly as they are shown up in that. So I think so it's about the consistency that they're struggling with.
Half isn't looking that great.
That's the exact point I brought up as well before this game even started. In the previous game. That Red Ross, unfortunately, they've lost out on that average that they were keeping up. And Shadow mentioned this, that yeah, just one game let lose, it's really not going to be hurting them too much. But if a team's playing on the average, and even if they are let losing on one game, that hurts them a lot, especially you're in a sprint. You've only got 18 games to play, from which already day 2 is over here, and 3 games were done. But hold on to that conversation. We need to focus on the fight on the screen. And already WindGod Esports falling prey against CG. For WindGod, The players were quite disconnected. One free elimination gathered, and what just happened? Wingard, they ran their vehicles against Viper, and he's still fighting back somehow. What am I even watching? Viper sits back in the vehicle, but then he gets struck down eventually. Sahil OP once again back to the basics. This man has been the main playmaker for Wingard Esports, even in the challenge season, and even right now he's dominating.
You know, they've just got mental at this point. Wingard Esports, nothing to lose. They've been such a menace to deal with, and Hector, you could see, just blew himself up. And I get the reason why. He did not want to give those finish points away. But he needs to understand that he's going to draw in a lot of attention. You could see Hector not even coming to the aid of his teammates in that fight. You could see how scared to death Carnival Gaming are, especially when you're holding on to that top spot. This is unacceptable.
Yeah.
He should have at least gone in, he should have at least fought, and he should have tried to at least secure a couple of more extra finish points.
CG needs to understand, aggression is what got them that first spot in the first place. And if CG is going to change the playstyle, especially when everything is at stake,
it's ridiculous.
It's a big problem. CG should stick to the basics, which was aggression from the start. It worked out at the start, so in my opinion, it should work out till the end. But instead, CG is now trying new stuff out, and that's why CG is really starting to struggle. Disconnected between the players. And then Hector, too, was just all by himself, did not even try to jump out of that window and provide the cover to the man who was just fighting till the end. And of course, Sahil is one of those players that is mechanically skilled. And in the end, Hector just blew himself up.
All right, that was not intentional. What happened was that Molotov came in and, you know, the sticky fingers. And this is where he's starting to tremble, right? This is where they're starting to doubt themselves. And this is exactly what had happened in another event. Not an official one, where Hector, they were on in the race to win that trophy, and they massively choked in that final game. And yes, even Somraj was in the race, and Somraj still is. And I think God's Reign and Versatile, they're going to be so happy about the fact that Carnival Gaming got taken down so early and without a lot of points. I think they just managed to get, what, 1 point out of this one? And now as the circle has shifted, Orangutan, they've got a decent position to play with. But God's Reign, look at this, so spot on with the read of this game. Find themselves good cover, but Versatile could be that next imminent threat. And if God's Reign deal with them, it would be so much easier to kind of create that little distance between them in terms of their overall standings.
I don't think God's Reign's going to go for any sort of risky plays right now.
No, I think it's Versatile. They have to go for it.
Yeah,
are they going to
Versatile
hold off?
maybe.
They can't,
But I think so. Everyone's just going to try and wait till the next zone pops up, till the next stage pops up. Villa is completely vacant too. If the teams want, they can move in over there as well. That's a great shelter. But at this point, everyone's thinking, everyone's thinking that Villa's going to be occupied by someone, and they're probably just camping there, waiting for someone to step in that spring trap. But instead, that's not the case. But it's better to just stay outside of that Villa, man. It's better. I'm not a big fan of that spot.
True that. I mean, now that you brought it up, we've seen history is a testament of the fact that usually, you know, those in-game circles go out in the open, and Villa is such a tricky place to maneuver. So many spots to hide out here and there. You never know. The moment you're trying to sneak your way through, there might be a little bugger that destroys your ambitions. But look at this. Orangutan still have a solid position. Revenant X-Spark right on their tails. But even Josh Jelly, they haven't been the most flashiest team so far, but they're still getting the job done. Still at the 5th position. And, you know, coming into the grand finals, Necro, we did not have a lot of expectations. But yes, Jelly, I can go out to say that he is punching above his weight.
He indeed is. He's been doing phenomenal so far. Even Iku Soul pulling off that major comeback, and right now, Wild Fangs quite close to VXT. And what a big blunder this is, and what a knock that was from Seth. Quick trace, and instantly the man falls down. Wild Fangs, they need these type of eliminations to really elevate their confidence. And that's what exactly happens. Elimination found against VXT, and you were talking about that. VXT needs to make the push, but VXT's already taken a lot of damage against themselves. But what's happening here? Iku Soul, they take a fight against the players of Red Ross, and Red Ross is already down 3 players. But even Iku Soul, they lose out on Ronnie. They need this fight no matter what. Unfortunately for Arto, he's going to be the only man standing for his team. Such a big mishap for Red Ross. The consistency has definitely dwindled away.
Yeah, Red Ross really feeling the heat, but look at Josh Jelly. Just when we were talking about how good they were, Jelly gets picked off, but there you can see instant response comes in from the star player Kyolamau. Seth so far has been quite stellar in this game. Has to come out of his hiding against Sam. He delivers another death blow now against Ninze as Wildfangs, the numbers starting to dwindle. Scout barely surviving by the whiskers. Again, he gets picked off, and it is going to be the players of Wingod doing the bidding there.
Oh no! What is going on? This is utter confusion.
It's that circle shift.
Yeah. So many players are so exposed that they're now vulnerable to every single team and around the vicinity. And the shots can float in from any direction. You can catch a lot of strays in these type of zone. Just Chile, they're still trying their best to carry their own weight and maintain that average on the overall standings. That's what they've been doing. One single game let loose, that average can instantly fall apart. Just like what happened to Red Ross. They cannot even afford one single game as a bad game. They need that constant point flow in the points table. Unfortunately for Just Chili, they do not even have any sort of vehicles to play with. The towers are busted. Team Versatile is getting approached by Hero Extreme Godlike. And for Hero Extreme Godlike, they need to go for this fight no matter what. As Power's the only man trying to hold down this compound. Beautiful nade is also going to find a knock and get saved.
Wow.
It's quite unfortunate for the players of Hero Extreme Godlike that they're falling apart like this. But Team Versatile, they've got each other's backs.
Look at this, God's Reign, however, they were the ones who stole that finish. So nothing really coming Versatile's way. But Punk,
fine, though.
He still has to push in. Punk under severe trouble at this point as Somraj, he is going to secure the knock, and Hero Extreme Godlike, they are starting to crumble. They are starting to fall.
As long as VXT defends this compound, no matter who takes the eliminations, it's completely okay. VXT's playing for that big ball game. They want to go for the chicken. And Hero Extreme Godlike down to just a two-man squad. Even that's a major concern. Another team, though, that's been the opportunistic one. That's going to be God's Reign. So far, they have managed to accumulate 7 points, and that's insane. Amongst all the chaos, God's Reign are able to collect the scraps. And with those scraps, they're starting to build the empire, which is incredible.
Indeed, and 7 finishes already. 1 more chicken dinner. That could be enough for Versatile. Still haven't opened their accounts. Let me remind that to the viewers. They did get all those knocks, though. Everything stolen away by God's Reign. This is horrendous. If you are Versatile, you would be enraged at this point. But look at this, Revenant X-Spark against Bgmi Esports Devotee already dealt with. Joker has a different angle to play. Sarang trying to get in close, gets naded back, but look at that. Shadow comes with that response. It is going to be Spray God also. 2 players taken down, and Shadow will continue with that onslaught against Monty, who is begging for his life. Has to peek through the window, but peekaboo, not this time, as Revenant X-Spark do Bgmi dirty.
What a play by Spray God and Shadow. These two guys were holding down the fort till the end. That one single nade from Spray God found a 2-piece.
Chef's kiss.
That was instrumental. If that nade never came through, we knew what was going to be around the course. And that would have been the elimination of Revenant X-Spark. But look at this. VXT wiping out the likes of Hero Extreme Godlike. The troubles, they just keep on amping up. Hero Extreme Godlike got 0 points from that game.
That is going to hurt them. That is definitely something that they need to recover from. But Seth, against all odds, is fighting his hearts out. Gets 1 more. And it is a clutch for the heavens. In a night for sky full of stars, he was that supernova that shone through. And we were talking about this. Seth needed to step up, and boy oh boy he did. But looks like not enough time remained as he blew himself up. As Orangutan, they came in out of nowhere. But even Revenant X-Spark also in the nearby vicinity.
Not enough points for Seth to try and keep his team in the race. Wildfangs, they needed a chicken dinner, but they've just gotten 5 points from that previous game. It's absolutely not enough. Revenant X-Spark now ramming their vehicles on the hood of OG, and the Apes are going to be super jealous that there are the Revenants around the corner. But OG is also getting the grip back on the game as they find the first strike against the players of Revenant Spark, and AKOP as well is doing a lot of damage against the foes. All he needs to do is connect that shot, but Revenant Spark still somehow, they rise back up from the ashes. Just when all the hopes were lost, Revenant Spark, they still somehow strike back the opponents and reignite all the hopes of the teams. And now it's down to just WizGod, the last man, the last glimmer of hope alive for OG. Can he survive for long enough and take down the last man of Revenant Spark? And he will.
This is absolute madness, Necro. Still cannot fathom around what on earth is going on. But when the dust settles, you can see God's Reign still haven't lost a single player. Versatile still have that luxury of the circle. Though not a lot of finishes, albeit it's going to be WizGod who also make an entry inside the zone. Sahil is inside of it, but now they have been snuffed out. Versatile have their attention pinched on WizGod. This is where I'm starting to get worried. If God's Reign manage to somehow deliver a blow, they are going to rampage through.
If God's Reign gets a chicken dinner, that's going to be a major lead in the overall standings. Already the top three separated from the fourth. And if God's Reign gets a chicken dinner, that would be a leap that no one can try and achieve other than the top three. So God's Reign needs to be stopped. This chicken dinner needs to be stolen away. Even VXT needs to be stopped. The main problem is, from the top five, there's two teams who can go for that big catapult in the overall standings and be that big difference maker. But VXT with 3 players and God's Reign with all the pieces on the board, the chances of God's Reign coming through victorious are even more. They've got the most amount of odds with them.
God's Reign have had a nearly very good day. I think a perfect one by all its means. The chicken dinners, all those good position points, everything starting to align, everything starting to make sense. And even the same goes for Versatile. Of course, a little bit of hiccups here and there. Still have 3 players though. And the next circle shift is going to be so pivotal. It is going to give us a vivid picture of who is going to be the front runners in this game. Is it going to be Versatile? Is it going to be God's Reign? And look at it. In no man's land. Versatile, they will have to step out of their hiding, and same goes for God's Reign. And this is where WizGod could throw a spanner to the works of both these teams.
They haven't given up yet. And unfortunately, WizGod, they're the one facing this banner. Man knocked out. Can the revival be there? Silo P as well is facing a lot of trouble, as even he's catching a few stray bullets upon himself. God's Reign. Now it's time to toss out the utilities. If they want, they can deliver the finishing blow easily. But they're still not really going for that aggressive stance just yet. They've gotten 10 finishes so far. For God's Reign, this is going to be an instrumental game. This game can also decide who is going to be the one to lift the trophy. Because after this game, they're going to have a major lead in the overall standings. They will be untouchable even by the teams on the second and the third. So God's Reign needs to be stopped. VXT needs to be stopped. The other teams, they need to hope and pray that it will be WizGod to take the chicken dinner. If WizGod fails, their chances, their hopes and dreams of claiming the chicken will be next to none. But hold on, God's Reign, they're taking shots against WizGod, and unfortunately the players are now starting to fall apart. Even Infinity in the back, who was going for the med strat, even he gets snuffed out.
Look at this, 11 finishes already gathered. And seems like God's Reign have done majority of their bidding, but this is where it all falls down. Now somebody has opened up the Pandora's box, and look at Aquinox just firing through, rampaging through God's Reign's departments as one after the other. Versatile bringing in all that heat. Now Delta and Ninja surely have to do something, as his power already down on his knees.
Even Somraj is taken down pretty low. The man needs to patch himself up right now. Does he have any first
Wow.
hits? And no's going to be the answer. Unfortunately, he's got no first hits to play with, but still it's going to be 1-on-2. Aquinox, he's been deactivated throughout this entire tournament. Maybe now is the time to strike, but unfortunately, even Aquinox gets put to sleep. And what a game by God's Reign. What's going on? A team that we never expected to perform this well is actually shining bright than ever before.
Well, they certainly are. God's Reign and Fixes, I'm sure you have got a lot to say because God's Reign, no one anticipated them to shine like this.
Listen, heading on, they were also on the cards. They were one of those favorite teams because league stages, this team had the highest amount of chicken dinners. Yes, there were those hiccups, but boy, oh boy, did they improvise, did they adapt, and even in this game, I think this is a game changer for God's Reign, especially considering they got a chicken dinner around 15 to 16 points, and they must have crossed that 100 points marker. Versatile, a decent game for them, and Carnival Gaming, they are left wounded, they're left hurting.
God's Reign have cracked the code to this meta. Just go towards the center, place yourself in a good spot, and hope that the circle forms on top of you. If it does, then let the other teams duke it out against each other, and you will be the one to collect the scraps, and then in the end, try and go for the striking, try and go for the end blow.
Well, certainly we can, and they did that. But speaking about the players of Team Orangutan also, Wizgod also did really good because out of 6 finishes, 5 finishes were just by Wizgod. And looking at the highlights, there were so many moments, especially from the side of Sev, the way he clutched, and after that, even the players of Revenant X-Park, especially Shadow, the way he saved the life of his teammates.
You know, at such a pivotal time at this point, God's Reign getting that chicken dinner so much out there. I'm pretty sure would love to hear what Ravan does have to say as he is having an exclusive interview with God's Reign.
देखने को मिल रहा है ओवरऑल अगर आप देखें तो सारी टीम स्ट्रगल कर रही है कमबैक करने की, लेकिन ये टीम ठान ली है, मान ली है कि डोमिनेट करना अब हम यहाँ से स्टार्ट करेंगे। डेस्ट्रो, अभी तक हमने देखा है कि जो भी #1 में आ रहा है ओवरऑल स्टैंडिंग में, वो उतनी तेजी से गिर रहा है। अभी इकलौती टीम आप रहे हो जो उससे तो संभलने में कामयाब हुए हो, रीजन क्या है उसका?
नथिंग, जस्ट प्लेइंग अ नेचुरल गेम, यही बोलूंगा। मस्ती कर रहे हैं, मजे कर रहे हैं, दैट्स इट।
भाई मस्ती मजाक में अगर आप टेबल टॉप कर रहे हो तो बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हो। एक आईजीएल का पीओवी मुझे जानना है, क्योंकि सेनहॉक वीकेंडी 3 दिनों में अगर आप देखें एक ही मैप हमें देखने को मिलता है। इन मैप्स को आप किस तरीके से देख रहे हो? वो कमबैक मैप है, डोमिनेशन मैप है, या बैलेंस करने वाला मैप है?
आई थिंक लोग ऑफ मैप्स को वो कर देते हैं, अंडर एस्टिमेट बहुत ज़्यादा, बिकॉज यही तुम्हारा मोमेंटम बिल्ड करते हैं। एंड हम लोग बहुत सीरियस खेलते हैं, हमारे दोनों मैप्स के ड्रॉप्स अच्छे हैं तो पॉइंट्स आ जाते हैं, तो वही एक राज है जो बोल सकते हो आप।
100%। बट मैं एक खिलाड़ी से माफ़ी मांगना चाहूँगा, निंजा जॉर्ड। मुझे अभी भी याद है, मैं आप पे सवाल उठाया था कि कहाँ है वो निंजा जॉर्ड, क्या हो गया उस निंजा जॉर्ड को, लेकिन भाई जो जवाब मैचेस में आप देना स्टार्ट किए हो, और आपने बोला था हेटर्स को भी जवाब देंगे, बहुत प्यारे तरीके से दे रहे हो। रीज़न क्या है?
रीज़न वही था कि थोड़ा सीनर्जी वगैरह में, मतलब मैं इतना अच्छा भी अपना खुद का परफॉर्मेंस कर नहीं पा रहा था, बट हाँ धीरे धीरे वो बोलते हैं ना कि जो प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, जिनको खुद पे भरोसा होता है, वो एक ना एक दिन पे दिखाते, तो वही प्रैक्टिस चल रही है एंड आहिस्ता आहिस्ता फिर से फॉर्म वापस आ रहा है। एंड और एक दिन है, देखते क्या होता है।
अरे 100% अच्छा होगा। एक लास्ट सवाल हम यहाँ पे जरूर पूछना चाहेंगे। जस्टिन, आई मीन क्या आप देख रहे हो उस एमवीपी के टाइटल को? क्योंकि ओवरऑल अगर आप देखें जस्टिन, तो एमवीपी के रेस में आप काफी अच्छे तरीके से चल रहे हो इस पूरी टीम में, उस पर भी नजर है?
नहीं,
ट्रॉफी में नजर है, तो देखते हैं कि क्या होता है ओवरऑल। लेकिन अभी चलते हैं कास्टर्स की तरफ से, जानते हैं कि गॉड सिंह का परफॉर्मेंस उन्हें कैसा लगा।
I think not just us, everyone loved the performance which Godstone is bringing in, and I'm sure they are the top contenders at this point for the trophy. But VXT, even they were disappointed. Hero Extreme Godlike, the disappointment is there on the faces of the players of Hero Extreme Godlike as well.
Oh man, especially when no one, yeah. I guess Hero Extreme Godlike are definitely not really feeling that great. Admino, you saw the stats as well a while ago, right? We saw the entire Hero Extreme Godlike cards in front of us, and Admino was not even able to touch the double digits, and that's a big sign of concern because Admino has always been that big playmaker for Hero Extreme Godlike. If he's not waking up, then it makes a lot of sense why Hero Extreme Godlike is currently down in the slumbers. But a team that's doing really good, and a man that's popping off in all the different margins, that will be Delta PG from God's Reign with 6 finishes and 43% finish contribution.
You know, takes me back to this conversation I had with Destro just before the day began. He said, listen, Fixes, we can win the trophy if one man steps up. Has to be that guy. Delta PG has been through such a rough phase, and look at it. What a perfect timing to step up. It's so poetic at this point, because when you talk about the stars of the match, I think God's Reign, they've just taken over.
Oh, they are. They have best companion. Justin is there with 3 rescues. Delta PG, the finisher, because he was the one who landing the last player, and 6 finishes just by Delta PG. And even Godsrain did steal too many finishes from the side of VXT. I think VXT is not going to be happy at all.
Godsrain was stealing finishes on the map in general. They were just taking finishes from everywhere.
It's okay.
They just had a really good place to play with, and they were like, you know what, guys, let's peek out from the windows. There's a lot of fights happening around us, and let's try and squeeze as many points as possible. And that's how Godsrain were able to accumulate that many amount of finish points. But this is how the action really kicked off. K9 Esports, Reckoning Esports right next to each other. There was also Metal Esports in that mix. I'm not even exactly sure why all of them decided to drop on this compound, but that really costed them that major game.
But if you notice Fixes, I think, every single map Metal is having a drop clash.
Yeah, I mean, Metal have to be prepared. And this is not, I think, pertaining to the drop clash that had to go through. It was all about that flight path trajectory being so treacherous. Everybody just wanted a common ground, drop down, get some vehicles, get the hell out of there. But seems like a lot was going on in their minds. But Carnival Gaming, absolutely disappointed with how they are crumbling under the pressure. Same goes with IQ Soul. We had been talking about this. They were flying high on that momentum train, and this one halt could really mean the whole world to them. This is it. It's either go big or go home for them.
At this point, all the other teams on the latter half of the board, or maybe even the teams that are not in the top 3, they need to start targeting. That's the only way I can see this, because the top 3 is starting to build that constant momentum. They're starting to build that big lead, and if they're not able to achieve that feat right now, then it's done for. Tomorrow has to be the day where they target all the teams at the top 3, and then only maybe the teams in the top 8 stand a chance to make that comeback. The top 3 is building too much of a lead, especially Godsrain. Tomorrow, they need to be stopped. If they keep on pulling off games like this, then we already know who's going to be the champion.
See, I'm still going to cut some slack to the players of Team IQ Soul, because it was a map of Weekendy and they do have few good finish points for themselves. But if they really step up on the map of Erangel, they still stand a chance to be in the top 5. But if they mess up the next coming map of Erangel, then I think IQ Soul, they are pretty much done. But there was few moments also from the side of Revenant X Park where Shadow did perform really well, especially against the players of Watch Army Esports.
You know, see, why I'm still just budging around IQ Soul is the very fact that this is a LAN. And LAN is all about having that momentum, not having to look behind. Now, they had been going all out, and suddenly they have been put to an abrupt halt. Now, with just one game to go, if they get a chicken dinner, everything all good. Everything's still back to track. But if they do not, that is going to be enough to shatter their morals. Because the expectation out of IQ Soul is always that #1 or nothing. And this time, they were found missing. Not even in the top 9. This goes on to show how much this is going to affect them.
Well, it is going to affect them because they are nowhere to be seen in the top 9 in the match ranking. But 24 points, 14 elimination from the side of Godsrain are definitely going to help them to stay on the top. K9 Esports, this time they had only 3 points. K9, they really need to fix what's happening wrong. Those initial fights, those initial aggression is not helping the case of K9 at all. Even IQ Soul with just 3 points remaining, it's not looking good. And Metal, they were on the 2nd spot at the start of the day, and now with only 2 points, even Metal is facing a downfall.
You pointed all of them out, but then you missed out on one major name, and that was just Jelly. Remember what I said? If a team's playing on the average, they need to stick to that average in every single game. Even one single game let loose, that's going to be a major concern. And already the concerns are now starting to rise. Godsrain, as I mentioned, they're starting to make that big lead in the overall standings on the first spot, getting 106 points, already crossing that 100 points marker. And then you've also got VXT on the chase. Luckily enough, VXT's not that far back, but the problems do start to rise, especially for CG. But still, look at that difference on 3rd and the 4th spot. Hero Extreme Godlike with just 66 points. They need a chicken dinner to be even in that top 3.
Also, look at the disparity between the placement points and the elimination points of Carnival Gaming. They have got the least placement points. They really need to work on those placement points as well, because yes, they are sitting at the 3rd spot at this point, but if this continues on day number 3, just by finish points, they can't retain their spot in top 5.
You know, honestly speaking, Carnival Gaming, let's talk about them a little bit much, because yesterday we saw them, the only way was just going for those fights. Then eventually at the latter half, we saw them getting those chicken dinners. We saw a little bit of them being, you know, positioning-wise quite sound. Huge shout out to DHL nonetheless. You can level up your career. But getting back to the conversation, or to the fact that I was trying to point, is that they haven't found that cohesiveness around them. It was about their fights happening. This time they have been somehow distancing themselves from all those fights. They have been running away from them to the point where they're even starting to get scared of engaging in one.
I think the thing is, if you look at the discipline which Godstrain is having, every single time Godstrain focuses on the placement, and they do realize the finish points will eventually come in if you have the circle, if you have a good position inside the circle. That has been a game plan for the players of Godstrain from the very start. But Carnival, from match number 1, day number 1, they're just focusing on the finishes. They forgot the placement points completely.
They indeed did, right? I mean, for Carnival Gaming, look, honestly speaking, that worked out for them. The way they were playing, especially on the day 1, the aggression that they showcased, that also got them the chicken dinner. That was the confidence that was oozing through because they had done a lot of research on the lobby. But you know what? I've got a lot to say, but maybe I'll say that after this short break. We're going to move on to a short break. We'll be right back.
Snapdragon Elite Gaming, and DHL.
Well, the day of comebacks has basically turned into a day of domination by God's Reign as they soar through and create that big lead right now. And I think so this is basically the best start of day number 2 for them, Shadow.
Of course, it can't be better than that for the players of God's Reign, VXT. They wanted a comeback, especially VXT. They were right at the bottom of the leaderboard at the start of the day, and now they are looking at the top spot.
Absolutely.
They indeed are. I mean, look, for VXT at the end of the day, we all knew that considering they're also the defending champion and considering they were looking in such a top-notch form, we all knew that VXT is going to be a team that's going to be contesting the trophy closely. But we never expected God's Reign to do so. Yeah, they performed pretty good on challenge season, understandable, but we genuinely thought that the way God's Reign was playing, maybe that playstyle's not going to work out in the LAN finals, but it's actually working out wonders.
If anything, it's been working out so good that they've consistently got over 24 points in those chicken dinner games. And honestly, we've been talking about comebacks, right? We've been talking about teams who've been dominating. iQOO Seoul dominated for quite a few games consistently as well. Yes, they had those 10 to 12 points, and after that, I think so they did pretty solid in the chicken dinner game.
I think only 2 games iQOO Seoul did really good. After that, in the map of Weekendy also, they were really struggling. They just got those average points. But like you said, if they do really well on the map of Erangel, if they dominate on the map of Erangel, I think iQOO Seoul will be looking confident, much more confident for day number 3.
Of course they will be, man. This Erangel has to be a great one. Either 14 points or nothing below that. Maybe even 10 points can actually do the deed, but that's going to be the average touched up. And at this point, we clearly saw the top 3 is on a different league. If you want to get in the top 3, if you want to have a chance to be in the podium, you need a chicken dinner. There's no other crack.
Absolutely. There's no other crack, and there's so many teams trying to go for that. And if you guys think you know which team is that will win the next game, make sure you hop down your predictions in the comment section, because we'll be watching that, and we need all of that support out there, not just us, the entire team, every single player out there who've been there. They are doing all of that. And guess what? If you like what we're doing out here, if you enjoy all of it, make sure you scan the QR code and you send us all of our feedbacks as well. We'll be looking for that, and we'll be going in for the improvements. But honestly, talking about improvements, Godlike showcased a pretty solid improvement, specifically after Simp hopped in Shadow.
Yes, his Simp is really doing good, but we expect much big things from the side of Hero Extreme Godlike, especially if you look at the performance which they had on the map of Weekendy. I don't think that was the best performance for Hero Extreme Godlike.
Of course that was not, but you also need to consider the fact that they've also lost the momentum, right? Day one, not exactly that great. Yeah, ending game was good, but it was still not a chicken dinner. So Hero Extreme Godlike, throughout the entire LAN final so far, they've never actually had an actual momentum. So that's something we all need to take under consideration. And if they do win this last game, though, now that can be a momentum setter for them on the last day. Hero Extreme Godlike is currently sitting on the 4th spot. Yes, there's a lot of points separating 4th and the 3rd, but if they win the game, they will be towards the podium.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what they're eyeing out. Their coach mentioned as well, all they need is top 5 right now, and then they're going to focus down onto that podium. But with the way how the lead has been building up, it seems that right now chicken dinner is the only way for you to go, and that's exactly what even Versatile would be thinking too. They're 10 points behind right now. There was a time when they were actually leading.
Yeah, it's completely fine though, right? 10 points is not a lot. They're currently sitting on the 2nd spot in the overall standings. And considering, yeah, God's Arena is just dominating Destro and the boys once again back in the top-notch form that they deserve to be in. Even we still remember that domination of Destro. Back-to-back tournaments were conquered by the man. 2023 was his year's Gladiator Esports. And maybe now that same history is being repeated by a different banner, which is God's Arena, but it's the same boys.
One more history is being repeated in every single map, and that is Medal having a drop clash. We call it drop clash or a rotation clash, but right off the bat, at the very start of the game, Medal is engaging in some sort of fight, and they are on the losing side.
Here's the thing. Who wants to bet on this? Medal Esports, on the end day, they will still be in contention for the trophy. I said this, you challenged me for iQOO Seoul, and I always stuck with them. You said that, you know what? Let's bet something.
You want to?
Yeah, sure.
For Medal or iQOO Seoul?
I mean, iQOO Seoul is already in contention, my friend.
Yep.
You've lost that bet, technically. So you owe me, what, a packet of chips? Is that what you owe me?
Packet of chips? Well, that was Momos, if I'm not wrong.
Okay, well, fine.
All right, cool. We're on for Medal. We're on for Medal. I get French fries.
Yes, sure. Why not?
Cool. That's it. That's it. We're locked and ready out there. And it seems even the players out there, they're also super entitled for this one, because this last game is so important, because it sets the momentum not just for this day but also for the next day. And there are quite a few teams on the lower end of the board that are looking for it, Shadow. Specifically the teams like K9 Esports, so on the 9th spot now.
K9 are still on the decent spot. One good game and they can be in the top 5. But the main question is how they're going to be in the top 5, because every single time K9 is engaging in a very early fight, the early aggression is not helping for K9 and as well as for even Carnival Gaming as well.
Yeah, it's not been working out for CG, but honestly, we're not seeing that same aggression from CG anymore. It feels like CG's lost that confidence, and in my opinion, they should just stick to the same way they were playing on day one, but we're clearly seeing a big playstyle change, and that's affecting their performance once again, and that's usually what happens with the teams, right? Once they do get a great spot in the overall standings, they think that, yes, now let's try to play defensive, but then that playstyle switch just never works out. And of course, why is the crowd roaring? It's because Jonathan's on the screen. Hero Extreme Godlike, they're the fan favorites, but without wasting any more time, we straight up jump on the last game of the day. Irangle boots up once again.
The big bird hitting the sky one more time, or rather the third time on this day number 2, and this is the last chance for you to set the momentum and maybe breach into that top 5 or the top 3 if you're anywhere on the 4th and 5th. As ladies and gentlemen, is the last chance on the day of comebacks. The plane fly path starts all the way from Severny, moving down towards Novo Repnoy. So Just Jelly are going to be happy. K9 Esports are going to be happy. But the ones who want to drop towards Query, Primos, Ferripier, well, good luck if you find some vehicles.
Well, you have to find those vehicles, but my eyes are on the drop clash. Those early fights. I want to see who is going where. K9, they have been going all the way towards the side of Siverny since a very long time. But seems like this time, K9 is not really going for Siverny directly. Maybe something is brewing up between all the 4 players, because K9, yes, they were on the struggling side. Maybe they're trying to go for the early aggression, or maybe they're just trying to go for those split loot and grab those vehicles. I don't know, we'll find out. But Revenant Expert, they always love going towards the side of Yasnia, and that is exactly where they are heading at this point. But seems like I'm going to be disappointed since we don't have any drop clash happening.
I was about to say the same thing, right? Because Bottom Esports right now are dropping in, but guess what? They still have the drop clash. It's Gujarat Tigers, 3 players, or rather 4 players in the exact same compound. It's not just one, even Carnival Gaming now up and close with Medal, as Prince is the first one to fall. The throne is being stolen away as Legit is legitimately down onto his knees. A machete in the hand, but Goblin has got a better weaponry. He answers back on Cyrax, and it's all down to just Sarvit now. He's got a pretty long ponytail with the character, but it does not matter as Carnival Gaming pick apart Medal one after the other. The lower team on the leaderboard trying to target the ones on the top eventually ended up giving them some good buffer for this one, because with these 4, CG now moved to 91.
I told you, every single game, the moment the players of Metal Esports step their foot on the ground, they are engaged in a fight. Either they are getting targeted or they go for those early fights. Whatever is the case, it is not really working for the players of for the players of Metal Esports at all, because now also they are left with only 2 players remaining, and Just Jelly all the way towards the side of Noropnoy. Let's see how that is going to turn out, because even Jelly and the boys, they are on the struggling side.
Yeah, indeed. Even the previous one, if I'm not wrong, they eventually faced a problem out there. So Jelly and the boys, they really need to pull their socks up at this time, because this is the time when you can either make history or you can be a part of someone's history. Carnival Gaming, they had the opportunity now. We've been talking about how this team constantly needs to play aggressive, and Metal Esports gave them the perfect opportunity. And with that, a good buffer now. They can try and play in a bit more slow. Over towards the farm is where they are, as the circle forms towards the extreme eastern ends. All the way towards the Lipovka, towards Milta Power, Godlike, Orangutan. They're going to be super happy. Reckoning as well, who are technically in the smack center. Teams want to play around the shelter area too.
Well, certainly Reckoning, they are towards the side of shelter, but Aiku Soul always love going towards the side of school apartment. I expected an initial fight from the side of Aiku Soul, but that's not really happening at all. Everyone is just minding their own business, because they do realize the last game of today is going to be super important. Whoever gets the chicken dinner, they're going to have that confidence for the start of day number 3. The momentum will be in their favor, so everyone wants to end the day on a really good note, and including the players of Wildfangs, because let's be honest, kid, even Wildfangs are not having the best of the time. They are sitting on the 14th spot with 43 points. And we saw in the team card as well that Trace God was doing the majority of the heavy lifting. Seth has really stepped up, but it was just one game where he stepped up.
It just came down to the same thing, right? In the 10 games that you've played till now, your teammates are stepping up in one game. All right, understandable, but that is absolutely not enough because, let's be honest, right? For God's Reign, we knew that Delta is the one who's struggling. And in the previous game, Delta was the MVP. So imagine if he keeps up this performance, they're going to become a force to be reckoned with, an unstoppable train. And you know it either derails everyone in their tracks or eventually derails itself. But there's absolutely no one to stop God's Reign till now. And if I'm not wrong, this is the only team to have grabbed, what, 4 chicken dinners in their bag? Probably Versatile is another team who's got 3, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. 2 today and 1 yesterday Versatile got for themselves. God's Reign, even they are having too many chicken dinners for themselves. And I like the discipline which both these teams do have. Because it's not like when you have got the momentum rolling, both these teams, they tend to go for this extra risk. No, they just go for their natural gameplay, be it them being on the top of the leaderboard or the bottom of the leaderboard. Their play style never changes. They always go for the zone. They always go for the center control. VXT, they always go for those good rotation. They always keep themselves away from all the traffic. So that thing really worked for both these teams. It's the discipline, because unlike Carnival Gaming, when they had the momentum rolling in their favor, they were super aggressive. They left their natural game style and they started going for those finish points, which eventually didn't work out in their favor.
I think so. That was the best way that they could have started day number 1. If I'm not wrong.
But you also need to be a little more disciplined.
They tried for the past 3 games. And yeah, there's some kind of teams, you know, who you really cannot see on that back foot. They've got the players who've got capacity, who are so fired up that they just need fights after fights after fights. Carnival Gaming is one such team. Hector is the man who brings in the discipline, who tries to calm his boys down. And he also mentioned in the interview, right, that all I need to do is just make sure that 3 of my players are there in the last few circles. They will convert it into a chicken dinner. Yes, for now, today, it has seemed that it's not really been their day, but it's absolutely fine. You've got one more game. You can end things on a very good note. And another team that's going to look to end things on a great note would be IQ Soul, who, let's be honest, after the first 2 games, no one anticipated would be able to make a comeback.
Except for Necro. He was rooting for the players of Team IQ Soul from the very start. And I think IQ Soul has lived up to the expectations of all the supporters and fans. But they still need to perform on the last wrangle, because if they don't get those average 10 to 14 points on this map, I think day number 3 won't look that fantastic for the players of IQ Soul. They need to get those 10 to 14 points on this map of Erangel. And same goes for the players of Carnival Gaming. Yes, they are sitting on the top 5, but if they do get a chicken dinner, that is also going to give them such a good momentum boost for day number 3. But there was someone who was struggling, and that is Gujarat Tigers, because let's be honest, yesterday Gujarat Tigers was in top 5, but now they are nowhere to be seen in top 5.
There have been a couple of games out there as well. In that situation where we anticipated that Gujarat Tigers might possibly come out on top. Even yesterday on the map of Sandhawk, they showed some signs of life. Even today as well, in a few fights, we did really see them slowly and steadily move up. And I kind of anticipated, given their position, that maybe they'd find a good number of finishes as well as a placement. And maybe they could convert it into a few, but it all eventually ended in just a maybe. 57 points till now, not being able to convert the fights. That has been a big problem, and they really need to pull up their socks.
But before we continue, Scared, let's give a huge thank you to Snapdragon India for bringing the global community of mobile gamers together. Get access to even more exclusive events and competitions, and stay up to date on Snapdragon's latest technology by signing up to be a Snapdragon Insider today, and stay up to date by following Snapdragon _in on Instagram and Twitter. And like you were saying, that few teams are still making a comeback. One of the name could be the players of Hero Extreme Godlike, because Sims Edition is really working for them, and seems like they are in such a close proximity to the players of Revenant X Park. Seems like Revenant, they're shying away from the fight. They're backing off because they do realize it's an open terrain, it's an open field, and they can't afford any sort of risk at this point.
Oh, it's not just that as well. There's also the members of Orangutan, the apes. out there, hunt for the blood. Apes finally had the previous game in a pretty decent manner. If I'm not wrong, 12 points for them. But they are still at 63. Way too far away from the first position. But someone who's way too close to Sensei is the man Knuckle. One of the biggest clutch meister of IQ Soul. And Sensei, he's just decided to back off from this fight. This is a risky maneuver though. But again, the cliff is eventually helping him just because of that dip. Knuckle did not have an angle onto that vehicle. That's why he's now just going in for that chase. Wild Fang shying away from the fight as well. We can see the hesitations coming in from the team, but the team that is not hesitant at all is Carnival Gaming. Getting a big pick on Ninja Jord, who was one of the star performers in the previous game as well, along with Delta for this lineup. Has been brought down onto his knees. And Carnival, with the way how they started their rides in the amusement park of day one, they're now slowly picking up the pace back again. Seems like all they needed was a break.
I love the way the Hector has been stepping up in every single game. Previously also we saw domination from the side of Hector. This time also 3 finishes out of 5 are just by Hector. Being the IGL, he's doing wonders for the team. He's doing the heavy lifting also when it is required. But for now, they need to be a bit cautious of their surroundings as they are in such a close proximity to the players of Vingod Esports. And we know what sort of menace Vingod Esports can prove to be in the lobby.
Yeah.
They are struggling, but they make sure they rain on the parade of someone else. And for now, it could be the players of Carnival Gaming. But seems like Carnival Gaming, they're backed off from that situation and trying to scuttle back to the safety. But the circle, we have an Eastern Circle. And the players of Reckoning, Aiku Soul, Hero Extreme, Godlike, they are in the dead smack center. The next fight could be between the players of K9 and Hero Extreme, Godlike. Because K9, they're also traversing from the northern side.
This is one of the first few situations when I'm actually seeing Godlike not outside of the circle or trying to barge in from those northern ends, but rather sitting inside comfortably and now in a position where they need to defend. But the question is, the way how they like to play in so far aggressive, is this circle going to help that out? Because we know how many times you're going to see those third parties out there, and that's one of the main reasons why we're hearing those shots being made all around the corner. Versatile right now under the fire of OG. And there's another team that is close by to OG. That's Wild Fangs. Aiku Soul as well in their vicinity. If I'm not wrong, maybe Reckoning too. Right in the smack center. There's still a few teams that have been way too far outside. Right now, Atanki is the man who's outside the reach of his teammates, so he needs to run away to make sure that he does not give up a life out there in the open. Versatile just pushing away the apes from the grounds that these lions hold.
And you talked about Hero Extreme Godlike here. The reason Hero Extreme's Godlike is sitting comfortably in the center of the circle is because that is their drop location, Lipovka. And that is exactly where they are at this point. But on our screens, we have got the players of VXT in quite of a situation where one of the player has been knocked out. The smoke is already there to go for the rescue mission, and seems like the player will be brought back into the game. But still they need to be very careful because it's the players of Orangutan, and Orangutan, especially Visgod, has been really running high on the confidence. On the map of Weekendy also, he got 5 finishes out of 7. So this guy is really doing the majority of the heavy lifting. But on the struggling side, we have the players of K9, where Slug was performing really good. Omega also stepped up. But suddenly this entire team was on the struggling side. For now also, they need to watch their 6 because we have the players of Team Red Ross coming all the way from the northern side.
They're going to be taking that late entry. It's not just that. Even Bgmi Esports are deciding to take that late entry from the northwestern part. So we might see them at least close by, maybe in each other's crosshair. My eyes were on that beautiful Koenigsegg. It's one of my favorite cars. At the same time, these teams will be eyeing out for a good game right now, at least a good position. Fun fact, Carnival Gaming, they are yet to make it inside the circle. They're still out in the blue. They're waiting. That's not just the only team, even just Delhi. They're yet to make their appearance on the entire Central Island. They're all the way down south in Sosnovka military base too. So I'm not quite sure what the decision making would look like, because even Wild Fangs are the ones who are gatekeeping on the Novoripnoy bridge. I think so just Jelly, they're going to decide to go all the way over towards the Ferry Pier bridge and then go for a super late rotation and entrance from the western part. But all of these western areas, they are full of life. So many teams. Gujarat Tigers, Wind God, up north, Bot Army Esports. Only the south of Farm is empty.
The next circle shift is going to be super important. And we have an eastern, southeastern shift. It is favoring heavily the players of Revenant X-Park. Their backlines are completely clear. They have the entire control of Milta Power. If Revenant X-Park do play their cards right, they do stand a very good chance to have a good outing in this one. Because let's be honest, into too many fights. All the teams are trying to migrate from the western part of the circle. That is exactly where Ico Souls is also there. VXT, they have the center control. Even Hero Extreme, Godlike, K9, Reckoning, God's Reign, they are on the northern side. Even Hero Extreme, Godlike has to go for too many fights in this one. Revenant, they stand a very good chance to have a chicken dinner converted in this particular one.
Too many fights also mean too many opportunities to grab those finishes. With the firepower that Godlike has, I think so that could be possible, as long as they're playing their cards right in that. But again, that's a big star mark. That's a big if. With the addition of Simp, I think so the lineup is feeling way too confident, specifically with how they've been taking those entries. But again, we've been talking about the clash, which was inevitable. Bot Army Esports up against Red Ross all the way up north, but also up around in the close proximity of Godlike are the members of Revenant X-Park. I think so they also realized that the position they were holding, it's inviting a lot of attention. They just wanted to move over towards some off-center fray, not realizing that there's still Revenant X-Park out there. But my question is, who's going to come out on top out of all that cluster that's been forming on the northern end? And this is, oh my goodness, unconventional of Red Ross. God's Reign catching one of the finish, as well as Bot Army Esports. They're locking horns with the members of K9 too. We mentioned about this big cluster that's been forming. I also wanted to say unconventional of God's Reign, as they're entering from the northern part. Normally we see them always going in for the southern rotations.
Well, they do realize it's a good opportunity to enter inside the circle. In these kind of circles, if you look at the position which Revenant X-Park is holding, so many teams try to go for that particular spot because you get the height advantage, your backlines are pretty much cleared, and even Hero Extreme Godlike also wanted to take control of that particular spot. But the moment they realized Revenant X-Park is a faster one and they're already present, Hero Extreme Godlike decided to go all the way towards the side of Milta Power. But for now, we have Ico Soul towards the western side and Gujarat Tigers right in the crosshairs of Mania. Few shots being peppered, but no connection whatsoever. But seems like Gujarat Tigers, Arman has been knocked out.
Some shots being fired from the members of Reckoning. They eventually find themselves sandwiched between two different teams. So yeah, that's a big problem for them. At the same time, you know, we've been talking about Revenant X-Park, we've been talking about Godlike, God's Reign, Versatile have got such a prime positioning in the circle. We'll be coming back to them in a while, as Gujarat Tigers are right now. The Tigers are locking horns yet again with the Wolves. This has happened not once but too many times, as Arman gets a confirmation onto Viper. The man was brought back up on his feet and is slowly now acting up to clutch. God needs to clutch up in the fight, but does not check what's on his side. As Diane finally wakes up, finally shoots up, but guess what? The third party kings are here. Aiku Soul jumps into the fray. They want these finishes. They want to steal the confirmations, and they will be able to. On to the members who have constantly been shot upon. Aiku Soul wipe out Reckoning. And even God's Reign are out here in the fray. They wanted to do another fourth party. Manya, a bit low in that HP, if I'm not wrong, maybe down onto his knees too. There's just Jelly, they're up around in the fray too. They want to try and fire a few shots. I don't know how Jelly dodged that, but he still managed to. Knuckle will not be able to though, because the shots of Sam connects perfectly. And that's a flush confirmed too. Ronnie out a bit in the open, onto the fray. Wanted to create an off angle as well as he's continuously firing some shots. But Manya finally has been confirmed. Ninsejo answered back. Some finally jumps in. The man has been quiet for a while.
Aiku Soul, they came for the hunt and seems like now they are getting hunted by the players of Team God's Reign and Just Jelly. A third party also coming into the picture, but God's Reign, they have decided to move inside the circle. Aiku Soul, they run such shambles, but the domination was there by Some, who was struggling till yesterday, but now he has started stepping up. But a Team Just Jelly, they also need to move inside the circle. And God's Reign, they are on the receiving end as Kyo Lamau gets a confirmation point onto Delta PG. Now God's Reign, even they don't have the numbers advantage. Only 2 players remaining, and the circle has taken a sudden shift, favoring the players of Revenant X Park heavily. Even Wildfangs have a good spot. VXT, they do have a good compound to work around with. The entire Milta Power factory control is with the players of VXT.
You know, but yes, that's been happening on one part of the map. A massacre happened on the other, where Goblin and Viper worked around in unison to delete K9. I think so. That's again a match made in heaven, but another one has just been offered to the members of Aiku Soul as they've been eliminated. But Shadow, 7 elimination points. That is actually very good for Aiku Soul. They've got the average points they needed.
But no placement points, that's a big concern. The survival was really important for Aiku Soul. They went for the hunt, they didn't anticipate the third party happening from the side of Judge Jelly and God's Reign, and that is where Aiku Soul succumbed to death. They should have survived because this game was really going really good for the players of Aiku Soul. But still, the players of Revenant X Park, they do stand a good chance. Even Wingod Esports do stand a good chance as they've got the entire southern control. But for now, Wingod Esports, they're moving all the way towards the side of Bot Army Esports. Bot Army, they do have a good compound to work around with. Yep. But are they prepared for the onslaught of Wingod Esports? Are they prepared for Wingod, who is trying to breach into the same compounds? And not just Wingod, it is also the players of Team Just Jelly who are eyeing for this very compound.
Yeah, again, they really just want to find out that one safe space, that one safe haven. And Bot Army, they are the ones who are finding themselves in the perfect place. I kind of thought that they'd be able to gatekeep to the teams who would be wanting to take that entry from that southwestern part, but it just seems they were the ones who were at the very last to enter there. Wingod as well, understanding that the circle is either way is not going to shift there, so are now making their own moves. And in the meantime, on the other parts of the map is where we are seeing the members of Godlike rotate. Finally taking that entry just at the edge, and it shifts heavily onto the other side. That's a big mistake at Minnow though, out in the open. A lot of shots being fired, maybe one of the tires being broken. He's in there, he needs some safety. And guess what? His teammates are there to help him out, but no! This is Lucifer. He just rains hellfire. Minnow down on his knees as the rest of the members of Godlike trying to jump into the fray. Some shots being fired by Aquanox on the other side, but Godlike are losing members. It's also Revenant X Park joining in the fray, and they are being picked apart one after the other. Simp and Punk are the only remaining survivors.
But the main question is for how long? Because look at the position. One single grenade and that can mark an end for the entirety of Team Hero Extreme Godlike. Even the players of Orangutan and Carnival Gaming are also locking horns with each other, where one player from Carnival has been knocked out. Revenant X Park, they need to maintain that southern control. They have to fight against the players of Team Just Jelly and Wildfangs. Wildfangs, they do stand a good chance, but godlike, how they are going to defend, how they're going to survive, that's the main question. Do they have enough utility? Because I see Punk is having 7 smokes and 4 grenades. They can work around that, but they need to clear that northern front where we have the players of Team OG.
Yeah, now the only thing that they can do is to wait for all the other teams to lock on with each other and then maybe go in for a few of the flushes, few of the finishes for themselves. This is really happening. Revenant X-Park, they had those edges, they had those shorelines, but now are going to be forced to move in onto that landmass. You've got to turn into the terrestrial creature rather than the aquatic ones, and that's what they're trying to do. But the constant shots being provided, specifically by Versatile, is the big problem. Joker sees one in crosshair. His power is again gonna try and run away to the safety, but there's no cover for him as Joker finishes that one man. Brings him down onto the knees, but can they confirm the flush is the big question. I think so it was stolen away, right?
It was stolen, but VXT, they did stand a really good chance to convert this one. But now they have to go for the revival. Not having the numbers advantage is really going to hamper VXT. They need the circle control as well. But for now, we have the players of Bot Army Esports up against the players of Vingod, where Vingod is having the height advantage. Monty Bay can be that X factor, having that off angle. But Bot Army...
की तरफ से दूसरी तरफ अगर आप देखें वाइल्ड फैंग के सेंस से वो भी कुछ अच्छे नॉक्स यहाँ पे अपने लिए निकालते हुए
कार्निवल अभी भी जीवित 97 अंक उनके हो चुके हैं 97 प्लेसमेंट पॉइंट्स थोड़े से बनेंगे तो वो VXT को पीछे कर देंगे अगर एक चिकन आया और फिनिशेस और आए तो वो आज के दिन का अंत करेंगे पहले पायदान पर एक अलग सपना लेकर के कार्निवल के खिलाड़ी हेक्टर अपनी टीम को लेकर के आगे बढ़ते हुए और हेक्टर का जो सपना है प्रीटी श्योर सोहेल शेख जो कि हेक्टर के पीछे का इंसान है उसका भी वही सपना है लेकिन इस समय आरू के अरमान वाइपर को टेक डाउन करते हुए गॉब्लिन के ऊपर विस्गॉड आ चुके हैं गॉब्लिन के हाथ में ग्रेनेड डीबीएस के ऊपर वो आए विस्गॉड को स्पॉट किया देयर इट इज गॉब्लिन गेट्स टेकन डाउन और ओरंगुटैन इस फाइट के लिए पूरे तरीके से तैयार थी और इतना तैयार थी कि आते ही कार्निवल पे एक फुल स्टॉप लगा दिया
Zin does not get the confirmation. It was behind the vehicle, but maybe the other gets it, and that's of Atanki. OG slowly and steadily moving up. And guess what, Shadow? Wildfangs 4 players, OG 4 players, Godlike only 2, but OG and Wildfangs are probably gonna lock horns against each other.
They certainly can. Even Hero Extreme Godlike now there is on the receiving end of the nade parade which can come from the side of Orangutan. Wildfang Seth is stepping up big time. 7 finishes already accumulated. But now they have to move inside the circle. Hero Extreme Godlike, they have been eliminated by Trace God. A single grenade marks an end for the entirety of Hero Extreme Godlike. But they have got enough points in their hands, placement points, because Godlike was on the verge of elimination at the very early stage of the game. But Orangutan and Wildfangs, 4v4 situation. Who is going to come on the top?
The advantage is surely for the Apes. They've got the circle and only Trace God from Wildfang is there. And let's not forget, Trace God is the one who does the heavy lifting. He gets a lot of those frags, who will eventually now try to be the spearhead for the team as well as they all move in directly from the eastern front west all the way over towards the north. They need that height, but again that ridge is also helping out the Apes a bit. My question is, will Aru decide to play around those, or will he just want to try and gatekeep the members of Wildfang? That's the big play.
Just look at the position of Trace God and Sev. They're the frontline assaulters. They are the one closing into the players of Orangutan. And since Trace God and Sev, they are doing really good. All the backline support is being provided by Sensei and Scout OP. But for now, the blue is also closing in. Sensei and Scout, they also need to move inside the circle. Orangutan is just waiting for one right opportunity, one right connection from that grenade which Visgod and Atanki are trying to lob. This is a battle of the grenades. Whoever gets the first opening will have a major advantage. Look at Scout on a sliver of HP and finally Aru takes him down with a beautiful nade.
Yeah, it's all about the nade parade right now. Constantly the bombardments from each other. The Mortars trying to find their target, trying to find the mark as Sensei answers back onto Wiz. Wiz needed to stay alive. Aru falls down on his feet. AKOP, the hovercraft, tries to catch man, but there's no turnaround. AK, last man standing. Who will eventually win? What a play! AKOP is insane. 1v4. You talk about this name, and he always shines.
Oh my God! What a play from AKOP! We thought OG's done for. 3 players were taken down, but then AKOP comes in like a bright star and shines so bright that Wildfangs had no reply. How to take AKOP down? A one-man army. That's all you can call him at this point. What a performance, what a play that was in the end. Pulls out the S12K and easily strikes down 3 players without any struggles. You know?
Take a bow, AKOP. This man is really proving why he deserves to be here. Why Orangutan is super consistent. But Wildfangs, what a big mistake, what a mess up. Everything was just lined up for them. And it is not the first time, Neeraj, that Wildfangs have served a game on a silver platter to someone else.
At this point, it does not even matter. Even if Wildfangs got the chicken dinner, it did not matter. Yeah. They were still not going to be in the race no matter what. It was the last game of the day, and Wildfangs is too much at the bottom. But for OG, just when we thought this team is slipping out, this was the play that AKOP pulls off. Man, my mind's blown at this point. I thought OG's done for. They threw that game, but then AKOP just comes in out of nowhere and takes them all down. Let's just have a look at the final few moments. I'm too hyped up for this, man.
I know you were too hyped up, so we had to show you one more time what happened in those last few moments. But I'm also pretty happy about what happened with Godlike too. They got the top 3 positions, so they might be happy, but here we go. Saf catches 1, AKOP in the hovercraft as well. Scout was already taken down. Atanki falls first, and then it's AK just spamming down his shotgun. This is nasty. I am just so done for this one, Shadow.
Well, AKOP definitely, like Neeraj said, the moment when it mattered.
Oh my God, ये क्या ही गेम था वो एंड के 3 सेकंड्स में क्या हुआ ये तो मेरे को भी नहीं पता बट आरू फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वेलकम टू टॉप 5 आपकी टीम टॉप 5 में आ चुकी है ये जो लास्ट फाइट थी एक 4v4 की प्रॉपर बैटल आप एक बार हमको टेक थ्रू कर सकते हैं उसमें क्या हुआ एग्जैक्टली क्या कॉल आउट्स चल रहे थे
स्टार्टिंग में वैसे ये पोजीशन लेने के लिए हमको काफ़ी सारे स्प्लिट्स करने पड़े काफ़ी सारे टीम्स को भी मारा सीजी को वाइप किया उसके बाद ऐसा था कि वाइल्ड फैंग से जोन हट चुका था एंड उसके बाद में हमको पता था कि प्रॉपर 4v4 फाइट है हमको पता था वाइल्ड फैंग ही आगे सामने से तो हम लोग बस वेट कर रहे थे कि उन लोग की साइड से जोन कम हो जाए उनके पास एरिया बहुत कम हो जाए तब हम लोग नेट स्पैम करेंगे फिर जैसे हम लोग ने नेट स्पैम किया एक ओपनिंग निकली फिर हम लोगों ने पुश कर दिया था हालांकि वो काफ़ी अनस्मूथ थी फाइट एक ने बहुत ही ज़्यादा अच्छा क्लच कर दिया एंड में तो वो चिकन हो गया
I mean that was a 1v3 to end the fight उससे बेहतर और क्या हो सकता है बट अभी टॉप 5 के अंदर एंट्री हुई है एक टाइम था जब आपकी टीम टॉप ऑफ द टेबल भी थी डे 1 पे डू यू रियली थिंक कि यहाँ से भी वो ट्रॉफी पकड़ी जा सकती है क्योंकि पॉइंट डिफरेंस आपके और पहले पायदान में अभी भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा है
बिल्कुल की जा सकती है क्योंकि हम लोग अभी 2-3 मैच के पहले 11th पर थे एंड उससे अगर हम लोग टॉप 4-5 तक आ सकते हैं तो कोई भी कमबैक कर सकता है स्पेशली एसपीएस तो जाना ही जाता है कमबैक्स के लिए
बिल्कुल मेरे को पता है आप इशारा किस तरफ कर रहे हैं वेल प्लेड बट अभी के लिए जो लाइमलाइट है वो AKOP के ऊपर ना जाए तो पॉसिबल है नहीं भाई क्या किया आपने वो लास्ट में 1v3 और वो सेलिब्रेशन जो आपने की वो साफ साफ दिख रहा था कि कितने खुश हो आप एक लाइन मैंने कही थी कि जिस दिन ओरंगुटन या AKOP जीतेगा उस दिन BGMI स्पोर्ट्स की जीत होगी डू यू फाइंड योरसेल्फ क्लोजर टू दैट ट्रॉफी नाउ
ऑब्वियसली वी फाइंड माई सेल्फ क्लोजर टू दैट विक्ट्री और मेरे आईजीएल को मेरी नीड थी सही टाइम पे स्टेप अप किया मुझे अच्छा लग रहा था
बिल्कुल चलिए AKOP खुश है ओरंगुटन का खेमा खुश है अब चलते हैं हमारे कास्टर्स की तरफ और जानते हैं कि वो कितना खुश है इस 1v3 क्लच से
Well, we are the happiest out here, specifically me and probably Fixes as well. We've been constantly saying that maybe Orangutan are going to make that comeback, but this chicken dinner definitely has been a blessing in disguise for them. And this win was much needed. But guess what, Shadow? The MVP is not from OG. It's actually Goblin from Carnival Gaming.
Well deserved in my opinion, right? Considering Carnival Gaming in the final game, yes, they were not really able to win the game, but they still had a lot of elimination points. And this is a prime example of that. 60% finish contribution, 6 elimination points were gathered by Goblin themselves. And we pretty much know Carnival Gaming had 10 elimination points in total. That means Carnival Gaming is maintaining that average to be in the top 3.
They certainly are, especially the first fight which they had against the players of Metal Esports. Even Goblin really stepped up in that particular fight. Before, we were seeing Viper stepping up big time, but now even Goblin and Hector, they're also doing wonders, especially Hector, the way he was able to take down Legit, who is the heavy fragger from the side of Metal. This was an important frag which he took.
Indeed, it was an important frag, right? I mean, you can clearly see Goblin's face. The man's having a lot of smiles because he knows he's currently in the top 3 in the overall standings. And the entire team stands a major chance to lift that trophy. Tomorrow's day is going to be so exciting, man. I mean, AKOP pulling off a clutch like this, it just sets up the momentum for the entire day now.
Whenever it comes down to land, we know AKOP is always there to perform. But let's have a look at the other stars of the match as well. Again, going all out, Goblin. Best companion's going to go to Raiden from Versatile. Versatile also had a pretty solid position early on, but then they eventually lost it, not just in the early phases, but over towards the later phases when they were constantly being fired upon from multiple directions. I kind of wanted to see it turn into a very versatile game, but that just did not happen.
Yeah, unfortunately it did not. But honestly speaking, even Hero Extreme Godlike were able to keep themselves alive for a long time, right? I would love to see the overall standings and see exactly where these teams stand. Before now, let's have a look at the match rankings. Because OG, they had a banger of a game with 10 placement points and 9 eliminations. They've got 19 points in total. That's definitely going to put them in a really good spot in the overall standings. Wildfangs missed out on that chicken dinner, but they also had a lot of elimination points. But at this point, we know Wildfangs does not stand a chance to win the tournament anymore.
Of course, they are right at the bottom of the overall ranking, but Carnival Gaming, they do stand a chance to lift the trophy, and 12 points are definitely going to help their case. Even Bot Army Esports, they also did very well in this particular one, but few disappointments were also there, like Metal Esports with 0 points. Red Ross, I thought it was just one bad game,
yeah.
But seems like it's more than one bad game for Red Ross.
And did you guys notice one thing? Aiku Soul is now playing super aggressive.
Yeah.
They got 7 elimination points quite early in the game, and they also were eliminated pretty early in the game, but considering they had 7 elimination points, that really covers it. Now they have 80 points in total on the overall standings.
You've been talking about IQ Soul. I really want to have a look at exactly what they did in the previous one. If I'm not wrong, that was one of those third parties coming into the play as well, but as we look at the highlights, obviously the first few teams are going to be Carnival Gaming on our screen. We know these teams, they like to play aggressive, and that's what's been working out for them. But again, over towards the amount of chaos that happened, this was the favorite one that was out there, Shadow.
Oh, of course, Carnival Gaming up against the players of K9, and K9 was pretty much dismantled in that situation. And Goblin really stepped up in that particular fight. Every single time we see Viper doing that thing, but it was Goblin this time.
You also got to feel bad for K9 Esports, man. Slowly and steadily just losing out on that podium spot. Now pretty much not even closer to that top 3. Tomorrow's day, yes, K9 Esports stands a chance, but they need 2 big games. Other than that, K9 Esports cannot have a chance to lift that trophy.
You know, with how the point system is working right now, if you're anywhere around 60-point mark, you really need just the way how God's Reign dominated today. And that's very rare that we see that happen. Just like this clutch of how the AKOP against the members of Wildfang, but to be honest, yes, Wildfangs are kind of out of the race, but it still feels nice to see them slowly step up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe for the future tournaments, this is going to be a good setup to have, right? Wildfangs, there's still an official tournament on the way, which we know it's not that far away. But the overall rankings are on the screen right now. You've got GDR currently at the top, still with 106 points. VXT on the second. You've got CG on the third. And Hero Extreme Godlike, we're on that 4th spot.
Here's the thing, you know, even though Hero Extreme Godlike are on the 4th one, I think so, yes, they could enter in the top 2 or top 3. I don't think so they'll probably end up at the first one. That's the big thing. Because again, look at the teams. Just Aigu Soul, OG, Red Ross.
I don't think so these are the correct standings. These are not the correct overall standings.
Maybe.
Hopefully we will have a look at the updated overall standings soon in the future. But those overall standings were definitely wrong. But yeah, I mean, considering we know that even the players of Aiku Soul were able to get 7 eliminations on the board, so that's going to give them 80 points in total. And in my opinion, having 80 points on the overall standings still keeps you in a major race.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, you know, because with the way how they've constantly been playing, we always talk about the fact that day 2 is the day of comebacks, and they have shown the greatest potential out there, getting a couple of good games, and now slowly and steadily moving up as well with those average points.
Well, average points are always important as long as you are getting them in every single game. Unlike Red Ross, you are getting average points and suddenly you face a major dip in your performance. So Red Ross, even they need to buckle up, because if they get one chicken dinner, I think they can also be in the contestation for the top 5 spot, if not the top spot. But I think the point difference between the first spot and the 5th spot is pretty too much. Even the plus of Just Jelly need a big comeback, big chicken dinner.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the points of iQOO Seoul, they've gotten 70 points. My bad. I guess my calculations are really bad, considering they had 63 and then they got 7 elimination points. So yeah, it's 70. Man, I'm not gonna lie, I'm too bad with bats, guys. I'm not this bad, but unfortunately I got carried away with the game. But you know what? Hero Extreme, Godlike, 73 points as well. You've got Just Chili also on 73 points. Man, at this point, the top 8 is still in contention. But still, I would like to say this, that the top 4 is on a different league.
I exactly wanted to point that out. Yes, top 8 potentially, but you've got to put a God's reign that
Big
good
game.
today. I mean,
Big
yeah,
game,
it's difficult. But for anyone who's, if I'm not wrong, under the position of 9th, maybe starting from Wildfangs all the way to Bottom Esports, I think so their target would be just to probably end up in the top 8 and maybe get a bit
Honestly,
of that prize pool.
if Wildfangs keep on playing the same way they played this last game, considering they've got the momentum, there's still a big chance even they can at least get the podium. I'm talking about podium, the top 3, that's it.
You just mentioned
But they
about
would also
medal.
need a hope that the teams on the latter half of the board, the teams underneath them, they start targeting the teams at the top 3.
I think so that could happen, right? Because we saw Medal as well doing the same thing.
Just look at the Wildfang stats, 11 total placement points, and they got 6 placement points in the previous one. So in the entire duration of 2 days, they got only 5 total placement points. But looking at the finish leader, S-Power, as always, is leading the chart with 27 finishes. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, everything changes. Even people change, people's characteristic change, but S-Power's performance never changes. No matter what sort of tournament it is, S-Power will always perform.
Yeah, the consistency is there, but you know what? Let's move on to the stage and have the interview. And who's there? That's a surprise.
और मेरे साथ आप खड़े हैं वो जिन पर फैंस जम करते हैं अपना प्यार शावर ही इज द वन एंड ओनली एस पावर कम ऑन मैन चैलेंज सीजन में यू आर एमवीपी और यहाँ पे भी आप एमवीपी की रेस में सबसे ऊपर हो 27 फिनिशेस इन 12 मैचेस डू यू स्पेशली टारगेट टू बी एमवीपी ब्रो
ऐसा कुछ टारगेट रहता है नहीं, बस मतलब एंड जोन तक पहुंच जाते हैं तो उसमें किल्स फार्मिंग थोड़े बहुत अच्छे खासे हो जाते हैं तो वो फ्लो में आ जाता हूँ. बाकी ऐसा टारगेट तो रहता नहीं है कि एमवीपी लिस्ट में आना है ये वो. और मेरे हिसाब से मतलब जो टारगेट रखता है वो एमवीपी कभी मतलब बन भी नहीं पाता जितना मैंने देखा है. तो टारगेट तो कुछ है नहीं ऐसा.
अच्छा, डे 1 पे आपको 1 चिकन डिनर मिला, डे 2 पे आपको 2 चिकन डिनर मिले. आज का दिन बहुत अच्छा गया टीम वर्सेटाइल के लिए. व्हाट डू यू हैव टू से अबाउट दैट? आज कुछ चेंज किया था?
आज चेंज नहीं, बस कल जाके लॉबी रेड किया था और जो हम लोगों ने चैलेंज सीजन में गेम खेला था वो लैग करा था चैलेंज फाइनल्स में, तो वही डिस्कशन वगैरह किया. और आज 2 चिकन है, लेकिन मे बी 3 या 4 चिकन इधर हो सकते थे, बट थ्रो भी हुए. बट अभी ये थ्रो को कल कॉम्पनसेट करने की ट्राई करेंगे और जैसा भी है अपना बेस्ट देंगे.
यार इस ओवर आप बहुत अलग अलग आईजीएल्स के अंडर खेले हो. हाउ इज सोमराज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम अदर आईजीएल्स?
सोमराज डिफरेंट इसलिए क्योंकि वो बाबू है सबका, और बाकी जो मतलब मेरे को आईजीएल चाहिए वो मेरे को उसमें मिलता है, तो आई एम हैप्पी.
अरे एक क्वेश्चन मेरे को आपसे पूछना है यार, ये होता है ना जब आप किसी नई टीम में जाते हो सिनर्जी बिठाने में टाइम लगता है, बट हाउ इज दिस विद यू कि आप जाते हो तुरंत सिनर्जी बैठ जाती है और टीम इतना अच्छा परफॉर्म भी करती है?
नहीं पता, ये नहीं पता. बस अगर सिनर्जी वगैरह ऐसा कुछ रहता नहीं है, बट मैं अगर टीम चेंज भी करता हूँ तो ऐसा टीम देखता हूँ जहाँ मेरे गेम के बाहर उन सबके साथ बॉन्डिंग अच्छा है. तो गेम के बाहर बॉन्डिंग अच्छा रहता है तो फिर टीम में आते से ही गेट टुगेदर बहुत जल्दी हो जाता है, और फिर मतलब जो भी रिजल्ट्स वगैरह परफॉर्मेंस रहता है तो आप लोगों को दिख जाता है वो. बस इतना ही है.
चलो, थैंक यू सो मच एंड वंस अगेन कांग्रेचुलेशंस फॉर बिकमिंग द परफॉर्मर ऑफ द डे. अब चलते हैं एंकी के पास जो कि इस वक्त खड़े हैं टीम रेड एक्स रॉस के साथ.
लाखों खिलाड़ी इस गेम को खेलते हैं जिसका नाम है बीजीएमआई. कुछ होते हैं जो एक टीम बनाते हैं, एक टूर्नामेंट में रजिस्टर करते हैं, वहां से आगे बढ़ने की कोशिश करते हैं, और उनमें से भी बहुत कम होते हैं जो उन सितारों में शुमार होने के लिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. और ऐसी ही एक टीम, ऐसे ही एक लाइनअप के साथ में मौजूद हूँ जिनका नाम है रेड रॉस, जिन्होंने अभी तक बहुत उम्दा प्रदर्शन दिखाया है. यहाँ पे क्वालिफाई करके आए, ये सबसे बड़ी उपलब्धि, और यहाँ पर आकर के भी वो बेहतर खेल के जा रहे हैं. लूसीफर मेरे साथ मौजूद है. लूसीफर, आप सबसे पहले तो अपनी जर्नी के बारे में थोड़ा बताइए, क्योंकि हमने आपको देखा है, पहले भी आपका नाम मैंने पहले भी ऑफिशियल टूर्नामेंट्स में देखा है. एक इतनी लंबी जर्नी, अथक परिश्रम, थोड़ा अपनी जर्नी से गो थ्रू कीजिए.
स्टार्टिंग से ही जब गेम आया था तो गेम देखता था, तो स्ट्रीमर्स को देखता था, मॉर्टल भाई हो गए, क्रॉन्टेन हो गए, उन लोगों को देखता था, फिर खेलना चालू किया, फिर वैसे ही करके खेलते खेलते धीरे धीरे कॉम्पिटिटिव सिनेरियो में आया, फिर लास्ट 1-1.5 साल से सेम टीम के साथ स्टिक कर रहा हूँ, तो काफ़ी टूर्नामेंट्स हमने चोक करे, फिर अभी जाके फाइनली हमने क्वालिफाई किया ये लैन के लिए, मेजर लैन के लिए, तो आगे भी बस यही परफॉर्मेंस कंटिन्यू रखना है हमें।
तो बेसिकली आप अपने जीवन का पहला लैन इवेंट खेल रहे हैं, आप यहाँ पे आए, इतने सारे दर्शक यहाँ पे मौजूद थे, आपको कभी लगा कि थोड़ा प्रेशर फील हो रहा है, हाथ थोड़े कांप रहे हैं, या कुछ भी जो एक अंडरगॉड खिलाड़ी महसूस करता है जब वो पहले लैन पे जाता है, क्योंकि आप एक मिसाल है बाकियों के लिए, तो मैं आपसे जानना चाहूँगा आपका एक्सपीरियंस कैसा रहा अभी तक?
मतलब ये हमारा पहला लैन तो नहीं था, इससे पहले भी हमने 2 लैन के लिए क्वालिफाई हुए हैं, एक कैंसिल हो गया था और दूसरा हमने अभी रिसेंटली 1 महीने पहले खेला है, तो नर्वस वर्वस तो कुछ नहीं था एज सच क्राउड को लेके, क्योंकि मतलब हो ही जाता है बस अगर खेले तो कुछ भी।
डन सीन। और अगर हम इस टीम की बात करें, कितना टाइम हो गया आप लोग को साथ में खेलते हुए, और अभी आप टॉप 8 के अंदर भी मौजूद नहीं है, तो कल के दिन पे क्या प्लानिंग रहने वाली है?
इस टीम के साथ तो 1-1.5 साल हो गए स्टिक करते हुए, और ज़्यादा कुछ गया कल तो।
चलिए, ऑल द वेरी बेस्ट। आई एम रियली प्राउड जैसे आप अभी तक खेलते हुए आ रहे हो और आप अपनी टीम को लेके जा रहे हो। ऑल द वेरी बेस्ट एंड प्लीज हैव अ सीट नाउ। तो ये था दोस्तों आज का दिन, हमने रेड रॉस से बात करी, बहुत ज्यादा बेहतरीन मुकाबले हुए, काफी सारे अप्स आए, काफी सारे डाउन्स भी आए, और उसके बाद हमने देखे बहुत सारे कमबैक्स। लेकिन अब है एक आखिरी दिन, लास्ट डे ऑफ दिस लैंड फाइनल, जहां पे ये 64 खिलाड़ी, 16 टीम्स, आई एम प्रीटी श्योर कि पूरी तरीके से वो तैयार होंगे, एंड इट इज नॉट ओवर अंटिल समवन विंस, जैसा कि हम बोलते हैं। तो अब देखना इंपॉर्टेंट रहेगा कि कल का जो दिन है वो हमारे लिए क्या लेकर के आने वाला है। नोएडा इंडोर स्टेडियम में आप सभी का स्वागत रहेगा कल के दिन पे भी। मिलते हैं कल देखने के लिए कि इस चमचमाती हुई ट्रॉफी को कौन लेकर के जाने वाला है अपने खाते में। तब तक के लिए अपना और अपनों का खूब सारा ख्याल रखिए। टाटा, बाय बाय एंड टेक केयर।